sun beat down. I had the radio on. I was driving. Trees flew by. Me and Del were singing. Little runaway. I was flying. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery. Going where it leads. Running down a dream. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me. Running down a dream. Running down a dream.
It's Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Michigan, the Consumers Energy 400. Let's go trackside to Kelly Stoutist.
Well, Michigan native Eric Jones comes to this race off back-to-back top 5 finishes with a load of confidence and a really fast race car to back it up. Imagine the party if he can win here today in front of all of his friends and family. Eric Jones starts 4th, Dave.
Kelly, Daniel Suarez has one of the fastest cars in Michigan this weekend. That's why when he crashed it in practice, the team decided to fix this primary car instead of going to the backup. That means they'll start at the rear. It'll be fun watching Daniel, Marty.
Dave, all the teams and manufacturers bring their best stuff to Michigan. You can really see where you'll stack up in the playoffs. For example, Joe Gibbs Racing has 4 brand new cars here today, and TRD, a brand new engine package. The result, Denny Hamlin told me moments ago, this is the best race car I've had all year long. Can it be good enough to get him his first win of 2018? It's time to find that out right now. Let's get the engines cranked here in the Irish Hills of Michigan.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, Jackson, Michigan's Teacher of the Year, Tom Hunt.
Drivers, start your engine!
Fired up, fire, no.
Well, Marty mentioned that Denny Hamlin looking for his first win of 2018. One driver who looks forward to Michigan, Kyle Larson.
Massive restart for Kyle Larson. He shoves Busch out of the lane.
Clear, shut it.
Back-to-back wins in Michigan.
That was the most perfect restart of my life.
Kyle Larson with a blinding restart.
You little driving son of a 3 in a row, baby.
Yeah, good job, guys.
The biggest thing that drives me each week is to know that anything can happen. It is so hard to be successful in this sport.
Here comes Elliott to the inside. The crowd on their feet.
This race comes down to these 2 drivers. He went wide in turn number 1.
Bring it home, just bring it home.
For the first time, Chase Elliott wins in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
That's one of many right here. Yeah, baby, yeah!
Can the dream continue this week? 1 week ago, Chase Elliott living a dream, getting his first Monster Energy Cup Series win. Now he comes to Michigan, a place where he's been very, very good, but hasn't been to victory lane yet. Want to take a look at the starting grid up front. Joe Gibbs Racing has it once again. That front row, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch will start 1 and 2.
Well, Kevin Harvick and Eric Jones make up row 2. Eric Jones looking to be the first ever Michigan-born driver to win here at MIS. Row 3 have RCR teammates Austin Dillon and Ryan Newman, a junior. It seems like RCR speed and qualifying is better than it's been all year. It'll be interesting to see how that ends up in the race.
Row 4, Mark Trix Jr. Ryan Blaney talked to Truex. He wasn't happy with his car this weekend, but he thinks they made some changes last night to help that. Row 5, Joey Logano and Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, 3rd fastest in final practice yesterday.
All right, let's take this opportunity to talk to the pole winner, Denny Hamlin. Jeff, dial him up.
Hey, Denny, it's Burton up in the booth. You with us?
I got you.
Well, this morning I talked to a lot of people in the garage, and they said you were the man to beat. Are they right?
Hopefully those people were smart that you were talking to.
Well, what do you think? Is your car good in practice? You feel good about today?
I do. I mean, I feel like this is kind of the best weekend we've had so far this year as far as speed, balance, and, you know, really kind of struggled to get the balance where I feel like I want it, but this week has been really, really good for our team and really over the last couple of weeks. So hopefully we get some results that we deserve today.
All right, bud. Thanks for letting us ride along, and good luck today.
Speaking of riding along, we will have the opportunity to ride along. You are seeing the 22 of Joey Logano make his way onto pit road, by the way. We'll give you the story in just a moment. Daniel Suarez is going to be carrying the Toyota helmet cam, as well as that one we saw on the roof. But take a look at that. That's going to be an awesome perspective.
Well, we have a bunch of great shots. A.J. Allmendinger has the Kroger Click List camera starting in the 25th position. And this, how about that, looking back on the driver, you'll be able to see the loads they have in these high-speed corners.
Martin Truex Jr. has the 5-hour Energy in-car camera, and it will also give us a perspective out the passenger side of that car.
And Kevin Harvick, starting up in the second row, has the Ford Performance onboard camera. He has a great look right here, right over his right shoulder, and this camera can look anywhere we need to check out the action, Dave.
Hey, Steve, down on pit road, Joey Logano has brought the 22 car to a stop. Crew Chief Todd Gordon caught me at the grid and said, hey, we're going to need to come down pit road and change the left front shock. Todd, I gave the wrong information to the shock guy, and he put a spring on there that we didn't like, so we're going to change the shock, because the last thing we want is Joey Logano barreling down into the first turn on the first lap at over 200 miles an hour with the wrong left front suspension.
Well, Rick, and that's just frustrating when you have miscommunication. Last week, they got in an accident on the first lap. They were out of Watkins Glen looking to try to get a little momentum here. Qualified well, and they'll have to give up that starting spot. It's a long race. They should be able to recover, but, I mean, that's why you put the effort in qualifying. You want track position. I mean, there's a reason they worked so hard to start there, so at least they caught it now and not on Monday after the race.
Yeah, Steve, and I talked to Joey Logano this morning. You know what he told me was the most important thing about today? Track position.
Yeah.
He said, I think I got a fast car, but I got to have track position, and they've given up a ton of it before the race even starts.
All right, Steve, this race, 400 miles. Let's break it down.
Well, you heard Jeff talk about track position. Let's break down the race and tell you how these drivers and crew chiefs are going to try to get it. 200 laps at this 2-mile oval, so it's a 400-mile race. It's broken down into 60 laps stage 1, a 60 laps stage 2, and the final stage 80 laps. What's interesting is the fuel window, Rick, 44 to 46 laps. That means every stage will require a pit stop. You can't make any of the stages on fuel. That's going to make it difficult on top of the pit box. Or it's going to give you a bunch of opportunity. You can look at it one way or the other.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For more info before the green flag flies, let's go back to Kelly.
Well, Michigan has always been a really good racetrack for Martin Truex Jr., although he hasn't yet been to victory lane here. He's a 3-time runner-up finisher, including this race last year, but he said since Goodyear brought a new tire to this track this year, he hasn't quite been able to get the feel that he's looking for at this racetrack. But Cole Pern told me last night they made some changes to the race car. They think they'll be in the ballpark, but they'll really find out on this first 25-lap stint ahead of the competition caution, Dave.
3-time Michigan winner Kyle Larson will start 17th today with a pretty good attitude. He finished 3rd last night in the Knoxville Nationals, and that's a good thing because the car not so much. Crew Chief Chad Johnson told me this morning we have been struggling. Keep an eye on us today, but we're not sure what we've got. Marty.
Hey, Dave, Michigan native Brad Keselowski admitted to me in pre-race, yeah, I put more pressure on myself here at MIS than probably anybody in the field, except maybe, of course, Eric Jones, who's also from Michigan. He said winning here would be just as important to me as winning the Daytona 500. He told me we've got a little bit of hole to dig out of this afternoon after a poor qualifying effort, but I want to win here so bad, we're going to get everything we can out of this car today. Rick?
Thank you, Marty.
Well, Rick, so we heard Kelly mention that competition yellow at lap 25. So as a crew chief junior, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, tires, fuel, how can I help my driver out? But as a driver, does that change your approach to this race with the heavy rains last night?
Absolutely, yeah. But, you know, if your car's not perfect, that's the great thing about it. You just kind of hustle and try to stay on that lead lap, not lose a lap in those laps before that caution is going to come out. You'll get to make some big changes under that caution if you need to. It's sort of like a bit of an opportunity for any team who's struggling right off the gate. We've had a lot of rain here. We don't really know what kind of racetrack we got, so these cars aren't going to be driving too good at the start of this race. This track's going to change a lot all day.
And what always surprises me is they're going to barrel into turn number 1 wide open. We're about ready to get the green flag for the start of today's race, the Consumers Energy 400 from Michigan International Speedway. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, row 1. We're racing in the Irish Hills of Michigan. Side by side into one, and the inside line, not the preferred line here at this racetrack.
Look at Newman on the outside.
3 wide. Gonna go to third.
Really aggressive.
He wasn't worried about the slick track, was he? He was ready to go.
He was trying to take advantage of some guys that were maybe being a little too cautious, and he did.
3 wide through 3 and 4. Little wobble there out of Eric Almirola in the 10 car. He catches it, but slows down the traffic behind him. Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman, 1, 2, and 3. Kevin Harvick running 4th. Ryan Blaney up in the top 5.
We're going to talk about this all day, Rick, but right here after the starts and restarts, that's the driver's opportunity. That's the best chance to make moves and gain position while the field is bunched up, as we see the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. trying to defend.
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr. has been going backwards. Just did not get a good start, was stuck on the bottom. 21 got by him, 14 got by him, now he's trying to fight his way back up.
At this racetrack, you see the speeds. 205 miles an hour for Martin Truex Jr., over 212 miles an hour as he enters turn number 1. Remember, a jet airliner takes off at 170 miles an hour. They're going 40 miles an hour faster than a jet airliner when he takes off.
Rick, I can tell you that this start played out just about how the 78 team expected it to. Cole Pearn told me starting on the inside lane was such a disadvantage that he called it -5 spots. Well, they started 5th, and now as he gets past, he's dropped to the 12th position, now 13th for Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, these guys were worried. I talked to them this morning. They were worried about their car. They were not good in practice, and this start of this race has not gotten off the way they wanted him to. Even when he got in the lane that he wanted to be in, Junior, he couldn't hold the car in the position, and now he's under attack from William Byron.
Let's take a look at that replay of troubles he had down in turn 3 and 4. Just chasing it, not even to the throttle yet, and he's chasing the back of the car. Real loose off the wall down into the center.
There comes William Byron looking to get by Martin Truex Jr. Byron into 24. Little contact earlier on the racetrack.
Oh, these two going at it.
Right here. The cloud here on the inside of Greg Galding.
3 wide.
51 gets loose. 4 tires stick better than, or 8 tires stick better than 4.
I'm sure Greg Galding didn't appreciate that very much. 8 tires do stick better than 4, but Greg Galding got used up on that one. And Harvick's going to take the spot away from Newman. Harvick in the 4, Newman in the 31.
From everything I saw in practice, this is what I expect to see out of the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Didn't have the blinding speed on the 1st or 2nd lap, but 4, 5, 8 laps into the run in practice, it seemed like the 4 of Kevin Harvick was able to just be consistent. His average lap time looked pretty good. I'm sure they can make adjustments if they need more balance on the restart, but you expect long runs here at Michigan. It's already paying off for Kevin Harvick as he ends up in 3rd so far.
Steve, you mentioned Denny Hamlin, the class of the field. Well, right now, he has put almost a half a second between himself and teammate Kyle Busch as he gets ready to enter turn 1. Let's go down to Marty.
And that's where we are, Rick. You can see Denny Hamlin going by 220 miles an hour into turn 1 in qualifying. That was Kevin Harvick's speed going into turn 1. The amazing thing you don't think about, the wind out here. It's very windy out here when the cars come by. And at 220 miles an hour entering turn 1, it's amazing the forces that these fans who are just a couple feet away get to feel. So at 175 miles an hour at a normal 1.5-mile racetrack, there's approximately 250 pounds of downforce pushing on the rear glass. Here at Michigan at 220, that goes up to 400 pounds of downforce on the back of the car. And you can hear these guys flying by into turn one. It's an amazing sight up here, and I can't emphasize how close the fans get to all of this, Rick. And the wind they feel, everything's so cool here at Michigan, but speed, definitely the #1 word here.
And I'm impressed with the cameraman that was able to spin that fast, over 200 miles an hour, when he was able to follow the car into turn one.
So I'd sit in that car going 200 miles an hour, but I'm not going to stand by that fence where Marty was. Marty, you might want to move, man.
Come on, Burton. You know, Harvick told me earlier the groove's not going to move up, it's going to move down.
Spin coming out of turn 4, and it looks as though Erik Jones is going to be able to keep it going the right direction, but he does get it into the grass. Kelly.
Well, and I can tell you, Eric has not been happy with his race car at all right now. He's saying it's just such a handful. He said it was plowing so bad, not enough track car to do anything about it. And then he said he had a massive vibration so bad he couldn't see anything. And he said, I just think it's the hard tires on this track surface. Right now, Eric just saying he doesn't know what to do with the race car. It's just so tight.
It looks like at least the 2 right side tires are down on this car.
Definitely the right front. He's going to have to take real good care of it, getting around the racetrack and getting back to pit road without having any damage or tearing a fender off the car. Take a look at the replay.
He was so excited about his race car coming in today. He felt like he was really quick.
Middle of 3 and 4, coming off turn 4 here. Same thing we saw yesterday with Chase Elliott. Just gets loose, spins out. It's a slick racetrack. It's going to be that way all day long as these guys fight for grip.
Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Michigan International Speedway. Well, NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can watch throughout the broadcast and even ride along with in-car video of your favorite drivers. Never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Visit NASCAR.com/drive to ride along.
Well, you heard Dale Jr. say that the 20 had to be very careful coming around to pit road. He did that successfully. The tires didn't come apart. They came to pit road. They put 4 tires on it. Unfortunately, they did lose a lap in that sequence. So let's listen into what happened to the 20.
Second, I touched that seam at 3 and 4. I mean, just gone. Nothing I could do. 10-4. The seam just got you loose. Just came around. Yeah. I mean, even running up to above it, though, I'm almost crashing every lap up there.
So we hear Erik Jones mention a seam. Junior, I hear about the seams at Fontana and other racetracks. I didn't think they were that big a deal at Michigan, but obviously it's really affecting this 20 car.
Yeah, I think it's affecting his car because he was so loose, and you know, any kind of disturbance in the track is going to give it an issue. But we haven't heard about the seams being an issue for drivers here in the past. But that track is aging. This track's getting slicker. You see the seam right here in the middle of the racetrack. It's the bottom groove and the top groove above it. Staying on that too long, you're definitely going to have an issue if you have a real tight car, a real loose car. And let's take another look at what happened.
As you can see, he just gets in there and he's loose, and he just gets on the seam and around the car goes. But he did say, hey, I'm loose, I'm crashing even when I'm above that seam. So they're going to have to get the car tightened up. The problem they've got is that this is the worst the track's going to be. The track, every run, the first run of the race is always the worst. It's slick. If you tighten the thing up too much, then halfway through the race, you're too tight. So it's a hard to understand it, isn't it, Steve, to know how loose you can start and be able to deal with it through these early runs.
Yeah, and it's hard on a young driver, but as a crew chief, this is where I think you have to go into coach mode. It's not about the adjustment. It's about trying to help that driver see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let him know that a competition yellow is coming. Hey, just get me to that yellow. I don't care if you have to lose spots. Just stay on the lead lap. Whatever you do, try not to damage the race car. Obviously, Erik Jones got lucky there. The grass didn't hurt the 20 too much. But really, it was the same situation we saw with the 78 as he backed up early in the race.
Guys, we talk about it at every racetrack, but it seems to me that more and more restarts here are extremely important because of the wide racetrack.
Well, we saw Ryan Newman, how many spots he picked up at the start by jumping up on the outside, and restarts are so important here because it's hard to pass. So let's go back and look at some races in the past. Look at Kevin Harvick. He's in great position. Look how far up he is as far as next to the 41, but he just cannot hold the line. You saw the fire jump out of the exhaust pipe. That's him having to get off the throttle. But look at the banking. Where the 4 car is has less banking than where the 2 car is, and that's why that bottom groove's no good.
That's right. And you'll see the 42 here. He slides into that middle groove, but actually kind of saves him from going backwards or having to be forced down on that bottom. So some guys will just take that middle groove if they're in the bottom and they want to get up in that preferred line. If you can't do that and you're 3 wide, this is what happens on the bottom with the 20, 24 and those guys last year. It causes big problems. It causes all these You know, 3-4 wide action going down the back straightaway. It's going to be great for us in the booth, but it's not a lot of fun for the drivers on the racetrack.
So that's why the leader of the race is always going to choose the outside line.
I mean, it's just so unique for this racetrack. Normally you go to a racetrack and the whole goal is to be at the bottom. Once you get inside somebody or to the left of somebody, they almost have to concede the spot. Here at Michigan, it's the opposite. It's like, oh, you can be down there because I'm going to drive right in on your door, make it very difficult. It is going to be, I mean, sketchy to be at the bottom all day long.
Yeah, so we talked about Ryan Newman. We saw that great start he got. He was in the outside lane. Well, now he's in the inside lane. So pay attention to that 31 car, and let's see if he can have a start as good as he did. I'm sorry, he's actually in the outside lane. He's showing him scored as third, but he's actually in fourth. So Kevin Harvick's in that second lane on the inside. Let's see if he can make it work.
There you see row 2. Harvick on the inside, Newman on the outside. Blaney's on the inside in 3. Right behind him, Kurt Busch is on the inside in lane 4. The field approaching the Geico restart zone. Getting ready to go back up through the gears for the second time.
Where Kyle Busch is going, he's trying to get away from that side draft of the 11 car from Denny Hamlin.
Did he make it work?
He sure
yes,
did.
he did. He'll take the lead as they go through 1 and 2.
Oh, he's out of the groove here, though. He's going to have to maybe come off the throttle a little bit.
Here comes Harvick on the inside. Harvick now challenging for the lead.
I wonder if Kyle Busch got down on that, lower groove down the front straightaway, got his tires just a little bit dirty. Slipped up a little bit in the middle of 1 and 2. He's going to be able to maintain that first position, though. Harvick battling back on the inside.
And Dale, that was the worst part of the track for Kyle Busch. He said 3 and 4 were a bit loose, but it's pretty tight in 1 and 2. That's another reason why he would have slipped up.
Side by side for the lead. Harvick on the inside. Kyle Busch on the outside. Kyle's going to take the lead again.
So now Denny Hamlin had control of the race. Now he's got to find a way to go run the 4 car down, try to get back to him. But this could be educational in some ways. If you get out front all day long and you never get behind other cars, you don't know what your car needs to do. So although you hate to leave up loose spots, Denny Hamlin is learning something right now that he would not have learned had he led all 25 of these first laps before the competition caution.
Heck of a battle here behind him. 3 wide down the front straightaway as Larson coming from his starting position up toward the front. This guy was racing dirt cars at Knoxville Nationals last night.
Actually, early this.
Oh, we got a crash behind him.
Way
Truex.
back behind him. Truex is involved.
And they got
78 William Byron. Truex trying to keep it out of the traffic now in the middle of the track.
Still got a few more coming here. 2 more.
I don't think Truex hit anything aside from maybe the damage between the 2 cars colliding in the middle of the racetrack, but Byron's car did back into the fence. Hard damage on the left rear quarter panel. There you see it.
Yeah, Williams had 2 top 10s in the last 2 races, and he started to,
left rear damage, Darian.
started to build a little momentum for this team and driver, and this will be a early end of their day.
Let's take a look. Going down into turn 1, Williams going to be on the inside of Truex. We'll talk about how slick this track is. See exactly what happened. William doesn't want to go to that bottom ground. He's already loose.
Yeah.
I think he may have had a flat tire. God, that thing looked so loose turning off into turn 1. I thought he was driving into the middle groove purposely and not going to the bottom. Going to force Truex into the top groove, into the high groove, outside of the groove. And Williams' car looked so loose off the wall.
Yeah, he was loose early in the corner. Truex, he's seeing what's going on.
Hang on to it, hang on to it, hang on to it.
Look at downshifts. Holy cow, man. He downshifted, stood in the throttle. That is what saved him from backing into the wall. Incredible. Because anytime he's...
Look at Williams' car. See it already wiggling? See the back of the car? He's shaking around. He's understanding he's got a problem, and he's having to turn that wheel and correct, and he's just walking it up the racetrack the entire time. And then when Truex gets beside him, now the air comes off the car on top of being loose anyway, and 78 goes around. Unfortunately, Williams gets in a wall.
Kelly.
I can tell you Martin Truex Jr. not very happy with William Byron. It sounds like they've had some close encounters a couple times already in this race. Martin said he was trying to give him the 3rd lane. Martin, though, I can tell you his car hasn't been great to start either. He was just sideways loose to start this thing, but said it was coming around. Now they're going to bring him down to pit road. They were discussing whether or not he had a flat tire, but it sounds like they're going to change all 4 anyway.
Well, as difficult it is for the 78 and the 24, it's great for the 20. Erik Jones is going to get a lap back now because of this caution. Should be a lot of fun. I know we enjoy chatting with the guys midweek about what took place and what we're looking forward to. I think we were all impressed with the fact that Martin Truex Jr. downshifted in the middle of a spin while he was going about 185 to 190 miles an hour to stay off the wall.
He never quit driving it, and it made a difference. He was going up the racetrack. That downshift kind of drove him back down the bank.
So now it's Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick who make up row number 1. Behind them, it's Denny Hamlin and Alex Bowman. And the field once again approaching the Geico restart zone.
Bowman giving a good push to Kyle. That's really what's going to matter on these restarts all day long. Look at Blaney down the line. Yeah.
Blaney decides to go beneath the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He steals that spot away, but can he hang on to it?
Look at Denny Hamlin, how many spots he's lost on these restarts. And Alex Bowman started 10th, running 3rd.
Got a lot of restarts, and getting that outside line enough on several restarts, you're going to gain a lot of track position that way. It's also been aggressive.
This will be a quick sprint as we see Denny Hamlin trying to take the spot away from Kurt Busch. Again, going to a competition caution at lap 25. Hamlin trying to grab the spots back that he's lost. He started on the pole and has fallen back to the 6th position.
I'm surprised how close Blaney was able to run in the 14 car through 1 and 2. Right up there, but didn't disturb Bowyer's car in that corner. I thought it would.
And how about Bowyer also? We talked about Bowman, but Bowyer started 16th.
Ryan's car looks pretty good. He's had good speed. He's right on that left rear quarter panel. That should really be trying to disturb the air on that car. I'm surprised it's not. As we know, Bowyer's got good grip in the rear of that car. It's also pushing Bowyer up to the 88.
Aerodynamics so important here at this racetrack, guys.
That's right. When we come up the corner and the 12 car is that close to Bowyer, it pushes him into the 88 or pushes him into a run that could develop into a pass. So
that's the advantage of it. The disadvantage is right here. You know, when you're the 12 car of Blaney, all that air is coming off your car. You don't have the downforce that you want. That hurts you in the corner, but it helps you on the straightaway because there's less drag and it helps you pull up to the guy in front of you. The other guy moving to the front, Daniel Suarez, he started in the back. He had that wreck in qualifying. He's driven up to 18th. He was really happy with his car. He was fired up, excited about being here, Dave.
Another thing that excited them was I walked down there to do my pit whip before we went green, and I told them, you know, the 22 is coming back here because he had a problem. He's going to start the back, and they looked at me and they said, hey, that's good news. 22 is a good car. We're going to follow him through. Now, the 22 has been back down pit road, but for a while there, Joey Logano was a nice rabbit for Daniel Suarez to follow through the pack.
Yeah, it's always, you know, it sounds funny, but it's kind of comforting to know you're not the only guy that's got to come from the back. And in some ways, it's if you can drive up through the front, it's a lot of fun driving up through the front.
Absolutely, yeah. If you got a car as fast as his has been all weekend, I'd start in the back every week.
Hey guys, I just saw there, Daniel Suarez stuck 2 fingers out the window like, hey, thanks, I appreciate that, as he went by Chris Buescher. How do you guys do that at 200 miles an hour?
You got to talk. You can't communicate through spotters like you used to, so you want to let that guy know, thanks for not making that hard on me. I don't know if it'll pay off later, but it might.
So let's ride along. We've talked so much about this helmet cam and how lucky we are to have this shot, and just past the start-finish line, driving into turn 1 right now. Listen to how much throttle he gives the car. Drives in way deep, well over 200 miles an hour. Now he's looking for his line. He has his left sides on the left side of that seam, kind of straddling that seam, making sure he doesn't get the right stuck on it or the lefts. Long back straightaway, lasts forever. Look at the speed. 208 down the back straightaway. Now all the way to the bottom. If you can run the bottom, you got to get to that white line. If you don't get to it, it doesn't work. Throttle up quickly and then use all the racetrack on corner exit. Daniel's car looks pretty good right now.
And looking for the competition caution. As soon as the lead lap cars all make it across the start-finish line, we would expect to see the caution being thrown. NASCAR letting us know because of the rain yesterday, you see the caution coming out now. Because of the rain last night, actually, they wanted to make sure that they could look at the tires and teams could check to see the wear because a lot of the rubber washing off of this racetrack because of the rain showers.
And now it's decision time for all of these leaders. I expect everyone to come to pit road because they need fuel to make it to the end of stage 1. The question is, how important are tires? We see the 18 of Kyle Busch, the leader, Kevin Harvick in second, Bowman in third, but way back farther in the field, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Martin Truex Jr. They're in 19th and 20th. The reason I mention them is they were just on pit road at lap 17, so less than 10 laps ago, they were able to use those tires to drive up. Does that mean that tires are important? Does that mean they're going to take fuel only? I think you're going to see varying opinions on pit road during this yellow flag cycle.
And while those cars were on pit road earlier, making adjustments, tires, things like that, they couldn't add fuel. You cannot add fuel until the competition caution.
Yeah, it's a great point, Rick. So they're definitely going to come in. The question is, how long are they going to be stopped when they come to pit road?
Well, next Sunday on NBCSN, the Verizon IndyCar Series is going to be at Pocono. The race coverage begins at 2 p.m. Eastern from the Tricky Triangle. Scott Dixon, he leads the point standings. He's got 46 points over Alexander Rossi right now. And Dixon actually is going to be a guest on NASCAR America on Thursday. So make sure to tune in always weekdays at 5 o'clock. But on Thursday, you could see Scott Dixon there on NASCAR America. So the crew's getting ready up on the wall as they will go to work, making any adjustments that need to be made to the cars, trying to get them a little bit easier to handle. We'll go down to pit road and Kelly.
And Alex Bowman's had a great start to this race. He pits from the 3rd position. He said he was just a little bit free getting into the corners and he needs a little bit more rear security in that 88 car. They're going to slap some tape on that grill. Dave?
This morning, crew chief Adam Stevens told me lap 25 competition caution. Well, that's a coin flip for 2 or 4. They chose 2 to try to retain the lead, Marty.
Kevin Harvick says his car is tight, turning down to the bottom. They're going to go with 2 tires and a tight race off pit road. Looks like Kyle Busch will win that race off pit road. Harvick said he's also a little bit concerned about the temperatures on the 4 car. Rodney Childers said, let's leave that alone for now, Rick.
Race off pit road brought to you by Kroger Click List. No positions lost there, but that's how close it was between Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. 4 spots lost by Alex Bowman. Everybody going through that pit cycle, and one with a penalty. The 9 of Chase Elliott, an uncontrolled tire. What's the penalty on that one, Steve?
Tail end of the longest line, so he's working his way back. There might be a couple cars behind him, but they're going to wave him by. Some cars opt to not take their starting position, so the penalty is that. Look, Rick, that's a lot of cars in front of the 9 right now.
Absolutely. The car stalled there at the entrance
William
to
Byron.
the road. William Byron is sitting there, and
there he goes.
He's going to roll, and the field rolling as well. Back under green in Michigan.
24 is just giving a lap back there. I think he didn't quite make the red light at the end of pit road.
I'm noticing something here, guys. On these restarts, they're getting more and more aggressive with each one. We're seeing a lot of shoving by that 2nd row. That's really going to get more, more exciting each as the race goes on.
And the bottom lane on the first row is taking the lead the last 2 restarts. That's something we just did not expect.
Yeah, you guys mentioned how bad the bottom lane is, but right now, as you mentioned, 2 restarts in a row, and the guy on the bottom gets the lead.
Look at Martin Truex. Back here in 6th place. Spun out just a few laps ago.
It's one of those teams. He came to pit road after he spun out, took 4 tires. So into this last caution, he took no tires. And look at this gaggle of cars.
That is a mess. You see the 14 car, Clint Boyer, back there with him. He was one of the few cars that put 4 tires on, and that's why he's back there.
Battle for 2nd. Little side draft by Ryan Blaney. He's got good position down into turn 3 here, but Kyle Busch is going to stay on that outside. That's just the preferred line. I think Kyle Busch is going to get this position back.
So hard to make that move on the bottom. It's a little bit tighter radius on the bottom of the racetrack. You got to turn the steering wheel just a little bit more. It's hard to get the throttle laid down. It's hard to get it to turn that outside. This is a little better groove.
Especially in 1 and 2. I saw a little bit of a tire rub on Truex's car on the left rear as he went down in the center 1 and 2. We'll keep an eye on that.
Keep talking about these restarts. This is off turn 2. So, see, the 6th car having major issues, stacks everybody up. They went 3 wide before they got to it. And then the madness just happens. You got to find a way to find a hole to get into. And then see Casey Kane having trouble with the 21 right behind him, Paul Menard. He's up the racetrack. When you get that far up the racetrack, it's just survival mode. Don't hit anything. Daniel Suarez worked his way up to 12th place. Done a really good job.
Him and Logano both coming from the back of the pack here at the start of this race.
Logano falling back behind the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
It's almost like a plate track if you get on that bottom groove and get stuck there, get trained on the outside by guys in the preferred line down the straightaways. If you go down there, you got to almost be confident you're going to make that pass so that you don't get stuck there and lose 2, 3, 4 spots. Just can't give up that many spots to this place. Track position's too important.
And Logano was one that gave up the track position before the race even started, coming to pit road and changing the left front shock. As we see Ryan Newman trying to hold off the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., but Martin Truex Jr. dives to the inside to take that position away, then slides right up in front of Ryan Newman. Can he hang on to the spot?
Yeah, he's going to get that one easily.
I almost feel like Ryan felt like maybe Martin was a little faster than he was, and he was better just to let him go rather than stacking the field up and getting them lined up and then making the pass and maybe 3 or 4 going by you, because you just can't outdrive somebody that far into the corner unless somebody's trying to work with you.
Truex still fighting his race car, still not quite happy with it. Here's a replay of an issue he had early on the inside of Newman.
Out there, 41's on his bumper outside.
Look at him losing those positions.
Outside 2's coming with a hell of a run too. You clear out there, here comes the 2. Quarterback, he
down
backed
to the
off.
bottom of 3 here. Right rear on the seam a little bit.
About half now. He's running
Maybe the
half
seams are
behind.
starting to become an issue for these guys when their cars aren't into the racetrack very good. We've seen it already. Seen Erik Jones complain about it. Truex seems to have gathered up. Just you got to straddle the seam or run above it. Try not to sit on it too long.
Martin Truex Jr. currently running in the 6th position, just behind him. The 41 of Kurt Busch. Want to get a few updates as they're running. 35 laps complete on lap 36. We'll start with Dave.
And Rick, you know how exciting qualifying was on Friday afternoon. This car, the 18 of Kyle Busch, missed the pole by 63 1/1000ths of a second to his teammate Denny Hamlin. So they know they've got a good piece. He just wanted a little adjustment, air pressure for the car that was a little bit hard to control on throttle exit.
42 of Kyle Larson is now on pit road.
Rick, they thought they had perhaps a loose tire. It was a vibration that had not been getting any worse, and then finally Kyle said, I need to bring it to you. They'll change tires right sides on the 42. They'll change all 4 just in case.
It's going to be a very disappointing situation for the 42. 3 wins at this track. High hopes coming in. This won't necessarily end their day. They're easily going to lose a lap. If he's a fast enough race car, he can battle back. But that's just a mistake you shouldn't have to have. We've only seen 1 pit stop. They obviously had a wheel left loose is what they're reporting. We'll have to go down and make sure that's what it was. But if that's what it is, that's self-induced. And now we have the 9 on pit road as well, guys.
9 had the penalty earlier. Uncontrolled wheel. They come back to pit road. Dave.
Rick, we'll have to check on it. We'll get back to you.
Okay.
As soon as the pit stops are over, you would think these would have to be loose wheels. That's why you would come right back down pit road like this. What this makes difficult for the 42 of Larson, because that's 2 good cars a lap down. Now they're going to have to battle each other for those positions of the free pass or the wave by as the yellows come out.
And as things always seem to work out, Steve, you win 1 week, then the next week, reality. That's just, I don't know why, but it always seems to work like that.
0 to 0.
So I'm going to lean on the drivers. What is it about this place? Pocono, here, some of these smoother racetracks, it seems like that the vibrations are just, I don't know if they're easier to feel or more prominent. Is it a speed thing? Is it a pavement thing? How can you guys feel vibrations more often here in Pocono?
I think it's the speed. I think the track is so smooth, but I think you're going so fast at these racetracks that it loads the wheels in a different way, and you just feel those vibrations. And it's easier with that kind of loading for something to break. And when you have a major problem, you're going to hit really hard. So I think there's a little less tolerance from the drivers on the higher speed just because the risk that's involved in blowing a right front or having a right front fail.
And for more updates, let's go back to Kelly.
It was a fuel-only stop on that competition caution, Rick, that got Martin Truex Jr. back with some good track position. He's running 6th now. When I talked to his crew chief, Cole Pern, this morning, he said, usually we have a pretty good idea of whether or not we're going to be good come race time, but they really felt like it was an unknown. Today, they made a couple adjustments overnight, and they really didn't know how they were going to play out. Martin was a little bit too loose. In fact, just a few laps ago, still too loose off 3. He says he's loose in traffic, but now the car is starting to settle down. We'll see what they can do with this 78, Marty.
Kelly, we saw some crew chiefs like Mike Bugaravich, the crew chief for Clint Boyer, do the opposite of what the majority of the field did. Boyer took 4 tires on the stop. He was the first of those who took 4 tires, restarted 16th, and has gone nowhere. He said the car is just terrible right now. The reason you would do that is that when you pit at the end of this stage in 19 laps, then you can go with 2 tires while everybody else might go with 4. So a strategy call here, not working out so well for the June Michigan winner.
But his teammate, Kevin Harvick, things working out very well for him. 2.6-second lead over Kyle Busch. Kevin Harvick out front. And things going well for the Blue Ovals. And they made a major announcement this week that the Ford Mustang is coming to the Monster Energy Cup Series in 2019. The driver who drove it through that logo was Smoke, driving through the smoke, Tony Stewart. And a surprise announcement there, too. Tony Stewart said he wants to run the Indy 500. So retires from racing in NASCAR, but wants to jump back into an Indy car and run the Indy 500.
Well, remember, he's an IRL champion, so he has some experience in those Indy cars.
Yeah, Ford's like, hey, man, we're talking about the car, not your Indy 500. I mean, can we talk about this another day?
Oh, pretty amazing. You know, the 10 millionth Mustang rolled off the assembly line on Wednesday. 10 million Mustangs out there.
Well, we're riding along with Kevin Harvick, and if you have a race car at Michigan, Junior, I have a feeling this is how you want it to feel. He has been the fastest car on the racetrack by about 2.5 tenths, which is a mile, and Kevin Harvick is just driving away right now.
Dave.
Well, it took the engineers almost as long as it took me to get between the 9 and the 42 to find out what was wrong with both tires. Very small abrasions that you can see on the right rear wheel of the 9 car, and it was a left front on the 42. So as you guys said, very sensitive at these high speeds, but it took the crews a while to just determine which was which.
But Steve, you called it. They're going to be battling to try to get to the free pass, even though right now Garrett Smithley has the preferred position, running 33rd, a lap down. Up front, Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, 1 and 2, as we go NASCAR nonstop.
That's his groove.
NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Consumers Energy 400 continues. You didn't miss a moment. There's we were NASCAR nonstop. Hey, Steve, what race is next week?
Oh, it's Bristol, baby.
It absolutely is. Make sure to get your tickets. Another epic battle will take place inside the last great Coliseum. You can get tickets by going to NASCAR.com/tickets to purchase your tickets today. Marty.
Hey, Rick, Brad Keselowski has made his way up to the 10th position, but we've heard about a lot of drivers talking vibration. Brad, too, listen in on the radio.
They have a little loose in and all. Major tire center to the center.
Hey, Burton, I just stood out in turn 1 where drivers are doing 220 miles an hour. Tire chatter in the center doesn't sound like a fun thing to me all of a sudden. So with this very hard tire at Michigan, describe what the driver's going through with tire chatter.
Yeah, basically it feels like the tire is literally bouncing up and down off the racetrack. When you turn the wheel, it's just the tire's shaking, and it just doesn't feel like it stays attached to the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the tire is a hard tire. They've brought this tire, a hard tire, to this racetrack since it's been repaved. Anytime you slide a hard compound tire, it's going to feel like a chatter, like it hops across the racetrack. And hard to hook that thing up. One end of it's going to be chattering. I mean, you're going to drive the car to the limit of the tire.
And I'd rather the right front chatter than the right rear.
Yeah.
You know, when the right rear's chattering, it
ends up being a Suarez.
Good.
Do we call that a Suarez?
Yeah.
On the right rear chatters? Yeah. Well, we talk about the speeds at this racetrack, and in turn 1, we have already seen Austin Dillon, Jamie McMurray over 219 miles an hour. Joey Logano over 218, 217 for Kyle Larson and Jimmy Johnson. Those are the top speeds entering turn 1.
Nope. I'm out. I am way out. No, thank you.
Wow, guys, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fast. What's most impressive, though, when you look at that, think about about the mid-corner speed where you're really at the limit of the tires and the cars sliding across the racetrack. They're doing that at 170 miles an hour. I mean, that's faster than we go at most racetracks. It's just impressive.
Yeah,
it makes me wonder how fast a car might go at Talladega or Daytona if it didn't have the plate on there.
Unrestricted, yeah.
Unrestricted.
Well, I tell you, the fastest a speed limit has been posted in the United States is 85 miles an hour. So it's hard for people to understand the slowest that one of these cars can go on a racetrack, because they can only go legally 85 miles an hour. They're going twice that speed when they're slowed down in the turns. Dave.
By the way, when you guys do that Talladega thing, call me up. I want to be there for that. That'll be fun. Unrestricted. Daniel Suarez has been pretty unrestricted today, driving his way to the front all the way up till 11th. Just minor complaints about the handling of the race car. He knew it would be good today, Kelly.
A couple spots ahead of him is Alex Bowman in the 88 car. When I talked to crew chief Greg Ives, he told me this is probably the most confident weekend we've had, especially helps coming back here to this track for a second time this year. But they really feel like as he gets around or attempts to get around the two there, Brad Keselowski said, we've definitely shown some improvement in speed and in performance. And he was disappointed in their 10th place qualifying effort. Thought they were 3 to 5 spots better than that. He said, I think we have top 10 speed today. And if he can make this pass, Bowman right now still running in the top 10.
Moves all the way away from him, and he is able to complete that pass. Brad Keselowski gets in front of Alex Bowman, but a pretty good battle for ninth for quite some time there between these two. Now Bowman surges back behind him.
And Rick, I think that's a great illustration to show you how hard it is to pass. So Brad worked on him for lap after lap after lap, and even when he got underneath him, the pass wasn't completed. He had to really drive hard to make that thing eventually get in front of Bowman. So when we talk about restarts and we talk about people having to pit again because of a loose wheel and all those kind of things, that's why it's such a huge penalty. Because watch Keselowski, he's going to drive away from Bowman now that he's gotten in front of him. But you just don't pull up to a guy and just pass him at this racetrack. It takes forever to pull that pass off.
5 laps to go in stage 1. Again, the stages 60, 60, and 80. 200 laps, 400 miles from Michigan. And Denny Hamlin, who started up front, now 5th. He had made it up to 4th, but Kurt Busch was able to get by him. And now Martin Truex Jr., who complained all week, or all weekend, that the car just wasn't what he liked. As a matter of fact, got taken out earlier by William Byron, downshifted, stayed out of the wall, got 4 new tires, didn't have to put tires on at the competition caution, and now has worked his way up, and he's trying to take that spot away and does from Hamlin. So he's up to 5th.
Rick, I'm on a roller coaster with this 78. I didn't believe them when they told me they were bad in practice. Oh, yeah, right. You said it before. You see Denny Hamlin try to turn back underneath the 78. Then he spins out on the racetrack. So, okay, maybe I should believe you. And now he drives back up inside the top 5. So I'm not sure how you rate the 78 car so far.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning, and he said they haven't been happy all weekend with their car, but they made some changes. Think they saw some things in the car last night that they need to change, and felt like they were going to be better, and so far it's working out. We're going to take a look at Ryan Blaney here in 3rd place. I was watching him in practice yesterday. His last run in practice was incredible. Had great speed. It was a short run, so I didn't know how long he would hold on to that speed, but it's showing well today. Up in 3rd place, he's matching the leaders on a 37.97 to a 95 and a 91 in front of him. So he's got some speed. This is a guy that, we had high hopes for him coming into this year with this change over to the Penske team from Wood Brothers, expecting that performance and the finishes and all that to kind of take a step up, and it's really not shown that. It's kind of been lost in the conversation because of the big 3 and all the other things going on this season. Marty.
And Junior showing some long run speed, as you mentioned right now at the end of this run. Top 5 fastest pretty much every lap for Ryan Blaney. Steve, an interesting conversation between he and Jeremy Bullins just a moment ago. Blaney said the car too free on entry, too tight on exit. Bullins said, well, what do you want me to work on? He said, work on the free entry. He said, if you can get me better there, I can help the exit myself. So it helps you when a driver has that mature feedback, right, as a crew chief, to be able to say, here's what we need to pinpoint and work on that entry.
Well, mature feedback, and I'm impressed Jeremy Bullins asked that question. He didn't try to take the responsibility of fixing both. He was honest with himself, honest with the engineers, and pushed back on his driver and said, buddy, you're going to have to pick. because I can't fix both of them. It's always great when your driver can pick with confidence.
Hey, when we used to race together, we used to talk about that, and I could tell you, like, if I'm loose, I'm going to narrow up the entry. I'm going to drive in a little too shallow. If you can fix that, I can arc the entry bigger and help the middle of the corner.
Well, no help needed for Kevin Harvick. He's going to grab his 11th stage win of 2018. Nobody can match that. And another playoff point for Kevin Harvick, which he continues to dominate there as well. 34th playoff point for Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch, his closest competitor right now as far as racing for those 15 extra playoff points at the end of the season for the regular season championship. But right now, Kevin Harvick, the upper hand in Michigan.
Down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery. Going wherever it leads. Running down a dream.
You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Michigan International Speedway. So next weekend, NASCAR is in Bristol, Tennessee, but tomorrow, the fastest swing speeds in golf will be on display in Tennessee at the final World Long Drive Tour event of the season. That's the longest hitters in the world. Tennessee Big Shots tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Golf Channel. They hit it a little bit farther than you do, Steve.
Rick, I was going to say I would pay to see if you could just even reach the grid. You know how they hit it down the football field looking thing?
I know. I don't think I wouldn't land in the middle of the grid, that's for sure. Mine sprays left and right all the time. These guys getting ready to go to work. The end of stage one. Of course, Kevin Harvick getting the win.
Rick, we've already seen two big names have issues that started on pit road. The 9 of Chase Elliott, the 42 of Kyle Larson. Both had loose wheels in the race. Now, a fast pit stop's important, but the most important thing, guys, get all the wheels tight. We can't be making extra pit stops.
No mistakes. That's what the teams always preach as they come onto pit road, Dave.
18 crew's pretty good about that. One more thing Kyle Busch would like. It's kind of annoying him when he looks left to turn into the corner. There is a little tether sticking out of the cowl flap. He'd like a crew member to tuck in during this pit stop. So they're going to change 4 Goodyear tires, fill it full of Sunoco fuel, and hopefully take away that annoyance. And a spin right behind him. Allmendinger spins the 47, but does not touch the 18 of Busch. Marty.
Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney further up pit road. How are they going to fix that entry with air pressure and wedge? So a decent swing here for the 12 car. Kevin Harvick, for him, it's going to be 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. He said he was starting to get too free into the entry of turn 3, but 1 and 2, not too bad for Harvick. He'll leave with those 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Jimmy Johnson, a little strategy play. Rick, he wins the race off pit road.
And a very hectic pit road. As you see, A.J. Allmendinger, he's pointing the wrong way, but that's the way he was pointed last week at Watkins Glen. 16 spots for Jimmy Johnson doing a 2-tire stop. This is how you get turned around. It is time now for the Toyota Social Spotlight. Let's go down to Chris Devoto, who's at the Peacock Pit Box.
That's right. Thanks, Rick. The question today, using hashtag Social Spotlight, which position on a pit crew could you handle? We've got some great responses as we're down here, the Peacock Pit Box. Mary Lou Briggs, she says not only would she be the gas woman, she looks the part. She is ready to go. We also got to tweet some interesting, everyone's kind of coming up with different things. Samantha says, I'm going to take care of the windshield tear off. Good idea. And then Dave, I think it was, Dave said, I'm going to stick with handing the water bottle into the driver. You know, funny story, I actually was a tire carrier. You guys, there used to be a media pit crew challenge, and I said, should I be a changer or a carrier? And a bystander said, oh, sweetheart, you can't carry tires. Decision made, I carry tires, and if Mark Martin is watching right now, he is nodding his head in agreement. I think he would remember, because he'd always talk about that, the fact that I could lift those tires. I don't think they had an inner liner. If you wanted me to carry tires, though, I think when Martin Truex took no tires on that competition caution, that would be when you would want me on your pit crew.
That's spectacular. What are those? The tires weigh like 75, 80 pounds?
They do.
Heavy.
They do.
That's pretty tough.
And we saw on pit road, we saw A.J. Allmendinger have problems. Well, you see A.J. Allmendinger coming on pit road, going to turn to go in his spot, and when he did, Casey Kane just wasn't expecting him to slow down right there and make contact. So right along, you can see he puts it in neutral, boom, right there.
Right here.
You know, you say you want to carry a tire, well, you got to do that with a car sliding around right next to you. I don't think you want to do that, Krista.
And then They had to make a little bit of repairs there to the right rear where he got tagged. Jimmy Johnson up front at Michigan. Kyle Busch will start on his inside, and it's Blaney and Hamlin, Harvick and Bowman as they get ready for the restart to get underway with stage 2. Martin Truex Jr. decides to go way down onto the apron to see if he can grab a couple spots. 3 wide into 1. Jimmy Johnson's going to make the outside line work for him. He'll hold on to the lead as they go down the back stretch, and now teammates racing for second. Martin Truex Jr. again looking out the passenger side. That's for the 11th spot.
Oh, that's tight.
A little bit hairy there.
Jumping that hole before somebody feels it behind a 10 car. So frustrating when you can't clear a guy and you jump up on the straightaway and you know they're going to go by you. Hope nobody else is going to go by you. Feel that hole. Look at Kyle Busch on the inside here trying to get by Jimmy.
Here comes for the lead, Kyle Busch.
What will Denny Hamlin do here? What choice will he have?
He's going to make it 3 wide. 3 wide for the lead, and the 18 squirts out in front.
Hamlin's in a tough position. See his car move? See his car bobble? He went in so shallow. Look out.
Bowman, big slide.
Alex Bowman, did he keep it off the wall out of turn 4?
I think so. But Denny went in so shallow into 3. That was a difficult position for him to be that low. Trying to maintain that line. Let's take a look at it. Just already loose there. So Bowman goes outside. Bowman's on the outside. He gets out of the gray, gets out of the groove, into the gray, and just loses all the grip. And that's how slick it is. We heard the drivers talk about how it's like ice outside that groove.
And he knows if he could have gotten on the outside of Hamlin, he could have taken advantage of it.
41's up out of the groove.
Yeah, now Busch out of the groove. So you want to push it. You want to just get in that throttle, even though maybe you know you shouldn't be there. If you can get on that outside and hold it, you're going to get that spot down in 1.
2 tires, obviously. They gambled to see if they could get some track position, and now falling back pretty quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be working the best on the 48, but you don't understand where he's going to go to. And I like the gamble. I like to see some aggression at Jack Nelson in this 48. At some point, you have to put your car out in clean air, Marty, and at least see if it improves the handling, see how good you stack up versus the leaders.
Steve riding on board with Kevin Harvick, who's had to scramble here since this restart. On the stop last time, the gun slipped out of the rear tire changer's hand for just a brief second. That cost him 5 spots here on pit road. He restarted back in 7th position and now has been able to rally, in 5th position, has now been able to rally a little bit through the field. But you guys know how tough that bottom line is to restart on here in Michigan.
Yeah, right now every lane seems to be a trouble on these restarts. And Ryan Newman, just a little while ago, you can see where he is in that gray as well, trying to make some moves. We saw how well it worked for him early in the race. We made contact with the wall right there, just trying to be in the throttle. Kevin Harvick behind him, and just a little bit of contact. Harvick never lifted. You never heard him come out of the throttle.
It's freaking awesome.
The other thing, Kevin Harvick, just moments ago we were riding along with him, had his right hand sitting on the pad that's over to the right of his leg. He was driving one-handed. How do you drive one-handed over 200 miles an hour?
Well, going straight. He's not driving one-handed down here in the corner. Look, he's going to fight this wheel a little bit, pretty smooth. I mean, overall, his car looks like it's driving pretty good. Maybe a touch tight. I don't see a lot of correction there, guys.
The car looks good. That's how it looked in practice also, Steve. And I can tell you what, underneath that helmet, I bet he's not very happy. You know, again, they lost spots on pit road, Steve. They continue, this team, even with the changes, they just have not fixed their pit road problems.
Well, this will be a big test because the 4 car definitely had the best pace for the first stage of the race. Now he's in a little bit of traffic, back in 3rd. He's running the best lap times, but now can lap times equate to passes? Can he take a better race car? Set up Ryan Blaney right here in the 12. Let's take a look. We head down into turn 3. He goes a little lower, gets a little air to his fender. Looks like he might be able to pass the 12.
Take a look at Eric Jones here. He's trying to drive his way back through the field after spinning earlier. A little contact with Jamie Murray. That's going to hurt that left front fender, probably damage the aerodynamics on that car. Stayed out of the fence, though. It's a good little tire smoke there. They'll want to work on that as soon as possible.
Yeah, just hope you don't blow a tire between now and the time you get it on pit road, Marty.
You have a terrific point about the pit crew for Kevin Harvick and his race team. I asked Rodney Childers this morning, what's one thing you want to focus on in these final 4 regular season races? He said, we have to get better on pit road, bottom line. He said, that's why we made the change in the regular season. We wanted these guys to work together for a few weeks before we got to the playoffs. We have seen improvement, but we need to see a little bit more because, Steve, you know, pit crew's so critical when it comes to winning a championship, and it's one race, right?
Yeah, and, you know, practicing in the parking lot is one thing. Live pit stops on pit road, Rick, when a race is on a line, that is totally different. That's why they made the change, the pressure of trying to win races.
Fifth caution of the day at Michigan International Speedway for a 31-car Ryan Newman spinning. Leaders come on to pit road. Kyle Busch, the leader, takes no tires, gets a splash of fuel. Marty.
Oh, mixed bag of strategy here. Some stayed on the racetrack. Going to be fuel only for Ryan Blaney. Same call for Kevin Harvick. They did have tires ready, but fuel only for these guys. They are in their window to make it to the end of the stage. It's going to make for an interesting second half of this stage, guys.
See a lot of guys not taking tires and holding on to that track position. Harvick being one of those. Kyle Busch lost a spot. Hamlin, Blaney, they switched positions. Bowman, Logano gaining some spots because of the no tire change, and Kurt Busch dropped a couple positions because of a 2-tire change. This is why the caution came out.
Yeah, got in the wall. Contact with that right rear, knocked the quarter panel in on that right rear tire, and then it eventually cut the tire. And when it did it, it took the rear brake line with it as also, so he's got some work to do to get back on the racetrack.
In the Irish Hills of Michigan, and it has been I guess a very difficult pit road for quite a few teams already today.
We've seen loose wheels, we've seen speeding penalties, pit road has been difficult. We saw A.J. Allmendinger get spun out, but it's also difficult for the crew chiefs and the decisions they have to make. We see the field jumbled up once again. We have some cars out there on old tires, some on low fuel, so it's kind of a mixed bag of what we have. Jimmy Johnson, Truex, the front 4 stayed out on this last yellow. We see Harvick, who was the leader, came to pit road, so it's going to be interesting to see as they restart with 42 to go in this stage.
Okay, so pit road has been difficult, but drivers, Jeff Jr., we've seen the racetrack be very difficult as well.
Yeah, we've seen contact with the wall, we've seen contact with cars, and we talked about it when the show started. It's hot today, it's slick, and these cars just are not making a lot of grip, and a lot of cautions already early in this race.
Yeah, but the interesting thing on the restarts, the bottom lanes worked a little bit. I mean, these guys are really being aggressive. As they get more aggressive, it's going to get harder for that bottom to work. We're seeing the bottom groove also work down in 3 and 4. Guys are making passes. If they can get alongside each other on the back straightaway, they're making that pass complete in the middle of 3 and 4. So this is becoming a racy little racetrack as we get further into this event.
Well, Rick, those two just mentioned restarts. They've been crazy as it is. Well, now you have, as I mentioned, guys up there, Jimmy Johnson, he couldn't hold the lead from last restart.
Right.
And you look to me and go, well, why did he stay out? Well, they're trying very hard for that track position. So I always find restarts when the front row has old tires get even more jumbled up.
The other thing will be fuel. Obviously, they can't go from the end of stage 1 to the end of stage 2 on 1 tank of fuel. Jimmy Johnson on the outside, Martin Truex Jr. on the inside. Back up through the gears they go, side by side, all the way back through the field as they enter turn 1.
Wow, look at Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, Truex, see how loose Truex got? Can't believe this, that row behind him didn't gain any more ground. He was sideways.
Here comes Harvick in the 4, that blue car, just behind the 19 of Daniel Suarez. Harvick trying to use that bottom line as well, but more difficult here through 3 and 4. See a little bobble out of the 18. Kyle Busch has to chase his car up the racetrack.
3 wide now with 22 and the 12 underneath the 22. Logano all the way down on the apron. It's rough down there, got to be careful. But he clears Ryan Blaney. Getting Hamlin down on that bottom, man. It's so hard to make that pass work. Dave.
Hey, Junior, that's the same 22 car that decided to go to the rear of the field to change a left front shock at the start of the race. Joey Logano all the way up to 7th now, and he was told he can make it to the end of the stage on fuel. It'll be close, but looking good in the 22.
Erik Jones trying to hold off that 18 of Kyle Busch. Erik Jones, one of the guys that stayed out under this most recent caution. And the pressure tires are going to prevail as Kyle Busch makes the pass. Marty.
Rick, that last caution very well timed for Brad Keselowski and his team. They had a loose right front wheel. They were about to pit under green to change that right front wheel. The caution came out. He lost a ton of track position just trying to hang on to the car. He is in 18th right now, but restarted 21st, finally making some progress back up through the field.
Kelly, what's going on?
Well, a couple of strategy calls for Chad Knaus on that 48 team on those last two cautions. First, it was the two-tire call. Then it was the call to stay out. The first time Jimmy led the field back to green, he dropped to 7th. It was still a big net gain. Right now, he's still been able to hold off the 78. But Chad Knaus just saying, look, nobody's really moving in the pack. So if we could just go out there and basically maintain our track position, we're in better shape than we were.
Harvick came to pit road, but our statistics are showing that he didn't change tires. So maybe a fuel-only stop for Kevin Harvick. He's running 3rd right now, but without fresher tires, that doesn't give him any advantage over the 48 or the 78 right now, running 1 and 2.
They do have a fuel advantage. I expect Harvick to be able to go all the way to the end of this stage. And I think he has a car advantage because he's been faster than both of them all day.
Oh, contact.
And Erik Jones trying to keep it out of the wall. He spins.
Hold on.
Caution comes out. He drops right back in front of traffic.
Oh, my goodness.
That's scary when they slide back in front of guys going over 150 miles an hour.
That's like the second time in 10 to 20 laps that's happened to him, where he's gotten a guy basically forcing themselves into that preferred line, and he's taking the blunt of it on the left front fender. Kelly.
It has been a struggle for Erik Jones this entire race. I mean, he said it almost feels like something is broken in this 20 car. He said, I'm crashing off turn 2 just about every single lap. He's just been kind of holding on to this 20 car.
Let's take another look at it. Ryan Blaney, you know, they're going down the corner, and Ryan's not going to go to the bottom. He's going to take that middle line. And Erik.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Erik Jones, I think you have to expect it. You're going to get a little more room than that. I mean, if not, you're going to be put out there in that gray stuff. And I just don't think Erik thought that Ryan wasn't going to keep going to the bottom. But it's just, you know, sometimes things happen when you're racing. You know what I mean? It's hard just to point the finger and say it's always somebody's fault. It's just racing, going for a spot.
That's right. I mean, you got to take, if you're Blaney, you don't go to the bottom and give the guy the option to drag race you and beat you down the back straightaway. You take that preferred line. If he's back there on your right rear quarter panel, you drive in the corner, take the line you want.
And the problem with that is when Erik catches him the next time, he'll say, you know what, I'm going to take whatever line I want.
That's what you got to do.
That's why drivers get mad.
That's right.
So that's why drivers get mad?
Well, yeah.
One of the reasons. That's one of the reasons.
I'm just glad they're not mad at me. A couple of drivers we need to update. We mentioned the 42 of Kyle Larson and the 9 of Chase Elliott. Both have loose wheels earlier in the day. Well, both have recovered. We had the 42 take the free pass at lap 76. The 9 took the wave around at lap 62. Both are on the lead lap. And I was wondering what the leaders were going to do. Decision time was upon us. Well, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, Kelly decides they need to come to pit road to get fuel in that machine.
Yeah, and it sounded like a very last-second call for Chad Knaus to bring Jimmy Johnson down pit road. The crew had to spring into action, and it's a 4-tire call for the 48.
Jamie McMurray also on pit road coming to his stall. They actually pitted at lap 76, so they were probably okay to make it on fuel here, but they're going to go with tires. McMurray has been struggling with the race car that's been way too tight all afternoon long. Had a very good run here in June, trying to replicate that here in August.
14-second stop for the one team of Jamie McMurray as he comes off of pit road.
We talked about how crazy these restarts are. Here's a good look at Martin Truex Jr. Watch him on this restart down into turn 1 on the inside of Jimmy Johnson. Going through the gears, down into the corner. Jimmy's right on his door, taking the air off the side of his car. Whoa, he's loose. These guys have got their hands full. It's going to be more of that when we come back.
And a lot of people taking advantage of coming to pit road under this caution, those that hadn't been on pit road. So that means that now Martin Truex Jr. will be scored up front. Kevin Harvick second. Daniel Suarez, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch all in the top 5. Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Alex Bowman, and Austin Dillon are all in the top 10. So a lot of crazy things have happened on the track already. And we are still 34 laps from the end of stage 2. Truex Jr. and Harvick making up row 1. Kyle Busch trying to give the 78 a little bit of a push there on the restart. It puts him out in front in that preferred line. We'll see if the 18 can clear the 4 as well. Three drivers with the most wins this season, running 1, 2, and 3.
This restart right here just shows you how bad that bottom groove is. Nobody on the bottom was able to take advantage of or do anything really fantastic on that restart. Just so hard. Outside line got organized, got a good restart, dominated through 1 and 2.
You see Clint Bowyer on the bottom. You know, if he could have cleared the 21 of Menard, he would have been in great shape, but he couldn't clear it. Even now, that outside lane, as you mentioned earlier, almost like Talladega, you got to get yourself back in lane or they'll just keep going by you.
That's right. You got to be aggressive. Force yourself in that hole if there's room. You're waiting on your spotter, looking for information. Man, can I get up? You see me struggling. You see these guys passing me on the outside. Help me get in that outside groove so I can regain my momentum.
And now, if you're bored, you see these two cars side by side in front of you. You want to use that draft side by side here also.
Side draft here.
All the way on the apron.
Trying to escape it. One's trying to get away. One's trying to go to the quarter panel.
Harvick by Busch.
Battle for second.
Harvick so far today, I think, has had the best car. But they've continued to give up spots on pit road. They're going to have to get that fixed. I know that the playoffs are coming, but this race matters. You've got to get every point you can going into the playoffs. And when you have a car this good, you've got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, he won stage 1. Got a playoff point there. 31 laps to go in this stage. You know he's going to try to get that position on Truex to get that playoff point there. He doesn't want to give it to Truex. Doesn't want to give it to Kyle Busch. Or anyone else. It's closing in. Just a couple thousandths quicker that last lap. Watch him, look at this drive down in that corner. This just shows you a straight shot, show you how good Truex's car is working.
And one thing about a racetrack that is this, I wouldn't call this track multiple groove yet. It just doesn't seem to have two great grooves. However, if the guy in front of you is running the top and the bottom's good enough, that helps you because now you can get your car out of their air, and that makes your car drive better. You see how good Harvick's car is getting into the corner and through the middle. He's so much faster right there than Truex.
And Jeff, that's funny because that's exactly what Kevin Harvick told me before the race started. He said, I think if the groove moves, it'll move down. It won't move up. And he's using that just a little bit lower into the corner than the 78 there just to get some air on the left front of that 4 car, which is very critical for these race cars. Harvick has not run this car since he ran it here in June. They finished second that day and really felt like they had the car to beat. Some unfinished business for Harvick and this race car here at Michigan, who's finished second 6 times since his last win here.
And this is where he had the advantage a little while ago, Junior. The last lap, he really caught Truex, but this lap, Truex kind of broke even with him.
That's right. We watched him down in 1 and 2 run right in the tracks of that 78 car. I'm interested to see if he gets closer to the 78, whether he'll start to run a little bit lower like he does in 3 and 4. In 3 and 4, he's dropping down underneath that seam, trying to get that left front in the air, like Marty said, get a little aerodynamics on the nose of that car, because as he gets closer to Martin, it gets dirtier and dirtier and gets less and less air on the nose of that car. And you can see that's hurting him right here the last lap. He's lost a little bit of ground. We'll drive down into turn 1 and see what kind of line he takes. He's so far back now that he's going to run the traditional line. You've seen guys drop below the seam as well in 1 and 2, trying to find a little grip on that left front tire.
How about Austin Dillon? He's having a good day. He qualified well. Battling Suarez right now for 6th.
We were wondering if the speed was going to transfer for RCR from qualifying to race. Appears like that's starting to happen for these guys. They qualified really good at Pocono, had some good speed there, but they haven't been able to put it together in the races.
Yeah, Austin told me when I asked him about that, he said when they peeled the tape off the car, you know, when qualifying, you put tape on the car, makes more downforce. Their cars just don't drive as good as the competition once everybody makes those changes, Kelly.
Well, and Austin's crew chief, Justin Alexander, was confident that the speed would translate into the race. He said, you know, we didn't really show that in practice because they didn't really get the one good early lap run like some of the other cars. He said the key will really just be getting the car to balance and handle the way Austin wants it to feel. But he said, really, they've just been fine-tuning on this 3 car. They feel really, really good about the speed they've been showing in recent weeks.
Well, this time, you know, Austin's in the playoffs. He won the Daytona 500. That immediately put him in the playoffs. Well, clock's ticking, Junior. Playoffs are starting soon, and if they don't run better than they've run, they do not have, you know, getting out of round 1 close right there. He's trying to get to Suarez and take some air off that spoiler, mess Suarez's car up, but it just didn't work. You can see Austin Dillon, he's in 8th, you know, with only 5 points. Look at the 18, he's got 35 playoff points. So, you know, he's got a lot of ground to make up once the playoffs start.
It's so hard to be able to get that close as we saw Austin Dillon right on the bumper of the 19 car here in the last corner. And when you get that close, you don't disturb that car. Man, that's frustrating because you assume when you're going to get within a half a foot of the bumper of that car, it's going to really upset the aerodynamics on the 19. And he's trying his hardest. Get the 19 car up out of the groove. There goes Denny Hamlin right around the 10 car. That's back for 12th position. Denny trying to work his way back up.
It's so hard to try to figure out. You can see Almirola drive in deep. Going to try to drive under Denny Hamlin. Now Denny's going to fight back. And now they're going to be side by side. So what Denny's going to, what Almirola's going to try to do is, well, I thought he tried to stay close to him, then drive away from him right like that and try to get that air off your car. Denny tried to pull down to side draft him a little bit. That's pretty tame though, this time in a race, not real aggressive.
We're seeing guys though that can get underneath each, you know, get on that low line down the front straightaway. If they can stay there, they're actually taking the position into 1, which is really interesting to me. I would assume the outside would be the preferred line into 1, and that would dominate every time. But just there, we saw the 10 car take the position.
And Kyle Larson trying to take a position away from the pole winner, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin trying to make that outside line work, though. Kyle Larson was racing this morning at 12:45, and he's still going. We go NASCAR nonstop. You saw it all. It's NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Consumers Energy 400 from Michigan International Speedway. And we saw how the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. has been able to hold off the 4 of Kevin Harvick, but now Harvick closes the gap. He's about a half a car length, or it gets as close as a half a car length, but he can't make the pass. Why is that, guys?
Just dirty air. 78's got the most air on his car. He's got the cleanest air. And as Harvick tries to drive in on him, he just has a hard time keeping the front grip in the car, keeping the back grip. Sometimes it can get a little loose. You see him chasing the back of the car a little bit right there. He's trying to run a little lower down in 3 and 4. He's not tried that much in 1 and 2, but you also have the lap cars that'll take your line away, take away that opportunity.
And as we look behind, you can see Kyle Busch. He's caught Harvick as well, and Kyle's having the same problem that Harvick's had with Truex. You know, Kyle ran him down because Harvick slowed down when he got to Truex, and then Kyle couldn't do anything with him. It's just that dirty air you talked about. I mean, these are good cars too. I mean, you just don't go past Martin Truex Jr. easily, but that dirty air makes it way more difficult.
Well, Jeff, if I'm Kevin Harvick in the 4, I think I'm going to be patient because the 78 Martin Truex Jr. by my calculator is going to have to come to pit road. He last stopped at lap 63. Even with yellow, say he can go 50 laps total. That's 7 laps short at the end of this stage. So somewhere in the next 8 or 10 laps, I expect to see the 78 hit pit road. That will easily give Kevin Harvick the lead.
You can see the graphic, Steve, you just talked about. 78 pitted last on lap 63. Also, Suarez on the same strategy. But I'm going to take that and throw it out the window, Steve. I want to talk about, this is the big 3, man. This is the guys we've talked about all year long. Truex, Harvick, Kyle Busch. You want to beat him, man. You want to pass him no matter what the strategy is. You want to show, hey, I'm the guy you're going to have to beat when these playoffs start.
I saw something in the last lap. Truex has started to take the line away from Harvick down in 3 and 4. Harvick was running the bottom, making a little ground there, but Truex goes down to the bottom the lap before. He doesn't do it here. And
oh, he got to run.
Harvick's going to get there. He's going to get almost to that quarter panel. Can't quite get there to get the side draft to work.
That's the whole key, is you can get your right front fender to Truex's left rear quarter panel. That's going to slow Truex way down.
Truex had to see him down there in that side mirror that he has on the A-post.
Watch this. Let's see what happens right here. See if Harvick can take advantage. He had the preferred lane by being able to enter the corner higher, then leave low, where Truex had to enter the corner low and leave high. That's going to help Harvick get a run getting into 3.
Well, Truex run the bottom down here and block that line. He's headed to the middle. So I think the 4 is going to get alongside here.
Here he comes. Going to get to that quarter panel. If he can get to it, he just can't get there.
So close, though.
It's being able to be in the throttle a quarter of a car length sooner. That's all he needs to be able to just go to that throttle a little sooner, but his car won't turn well enough for him to be able to do it.
And once again, the gap about 2 car lengths between the top 2. I want to take a look at today's lap leaders brought to you by Honda Power Sports. And it's no surprise. Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, the guys who have won the most races this year, have also led the most laps here at Michigan. Martin Truex Jr. trying to add to his laps led number, and Kevin Harvick wanting to stop him from adding, but he still can't get by him. He's had great runs, and we thought maybe a lapped car would affect Martin Truex Jr.'s lap, but it hasn't. Martin Truex Jr. has been able to stay out front. But Steve, as you mentioned, you can't forget about the fact that he can't get all the way to the end of the stage on fuel.
Well, and this is what they're battling for, those playoff points. I believe the 78 will have to come to pit road. Then Kevin Harvick's going to try to win this stage. There's a playoff point available that'll bring his total up to 35. Remember, those points can be carried through each round of the playoffs, Kelly.
Well, I can tell you it doesn't sound like the plan is to bring the 78 to pit road. He has been saving. In fact, Cole Purton just told Martin Truex Jr., you're going to have to save even more aggressively, even if that means letting the 4 go by you and then pushing him from behind. But he's been saving fuel since this restart, hoping they can stretch it to the stage end.
There it went. Kevin Harvick right on by, and he'll take the lead at Michigan once again.
Well, you just heard Kelly report the 78's low on fuel. That, to me, guys, looked like a driver that maybe wants a draft. Maybe he let the 4 go and say, you know what, I'm going to try to stretch it. To do that, I'm going to get a little drafting help. We'll see what he does with the 18 in Kyle Busch. Oh, looks like he's going to let the 18 to the inside and let him clear him off the corner exit. Maybe the 78 is going to try to stretch his fuel tank. It's going to be impressive. Talk about fuel economy. This will be great fuel economy out of this 78.
They do this. They engineer this and understand exactly what kind of throttle position he needs to save as much fuel as he needs to save. So he knows how much he has to ride around on, half throttle down the straightaway to try to save as much as they can. Marty.
Hey, Junior, Steve made the point a moment ago. We saw Kevin Harvick get by very easily there with a 78. We heard Kelly's report about saving fuel more aggressively. That message did make its way to Kevin Harvick. His spotter, Tim Fedewa, said, hey, they're going to start saving very aggressively here. You could just see, though, the patience of Harvick behind the 78 when he really wasn't pushing too hard to pass him. He knew they would have to pit or save at some point, and that's what played out, Dave.
Kyle should be good on fuel, but Kyle Busch was asked to save a little fuel. He did have some concern about the balance.
Just not feeling the racetrack right now. You put gas in it, it's just not right. I don't know.
He added to that saying it's not really loose, it's just not loaded when it lands and won't turn. Rick?
So Kevin Harvick out in front of Kyle Busch. Harvick looking for his second stage win of the day. He won the first stage. Now has almost an 0.8 of a second lead over Kyle Busch. Martin Truex Jr. running third. Ryan Blaney, Kurt Busch in the top 5. Suarez, Dillon, Logano, Boyer, Keselowski all in the top 10. Eric Almirola has shown glimmers of greatness today, but he really hasn't been able to break into that top 10 and run consistently. Dave.
Daniel Suarez's team believes he's going to have to pit before stage end, which would be a shame because he'll give up stage points. Steve, they said we may have to run the switch. What does that mean?
So basically these teams have multiple pickups in the fuel cell. One picks up maybe 90 or 95% of the fuel. You drive, they don't have gas gauges, right? So you drive until the motor misses, you flip it over to the second pickup, which picks up the last 5 or 10%, then you know you can run 1 or 2 more laps. Therefore, you don't run out of gas on the front stretch and coast for 2 miles. Just a good way to make sure you can protect yourself when you make a gamble like the 19's making.
He's on the same pit strategy as Martin Truex Jr. They both came to pit road at lap 63.
So my concern for these two drivers as we see Martin Truex try to hold off the 12 of Ryan Blaney is what happens if they make it to 2 to go, pit road closes, and then they have to come to pit road. It's like a double whammy.
Right.
Now you have to pit under green, and you'll have a penalty for having pit road closed. So there's a lot of risk, because now you see Martin Truex Jr. really out of the gas, easily letting cars go, still running in the 5th position. So still in the top 5. This is going to be a gamble. Listen, we talk about get aggressive on pit strategy, Cole Pearn. This is a new level of aggression.
And Martin Truex Jr. right now is 4 seconds behind race leader Kevin Harvick. To get even a point, he would have to finish 10th, and Keselowski is 10.8 seconds behind race leader Kevin Harvick. So there's about a 5-second gap there between Truex and Keselowski.
Yeah, one thing I see really interesting is Martin Truex Jr., he has slowed down a ton. He's in the 39-second bracket. Suarez hasn't done that. He's still in the 38-second bracket. So he doesn't seem to be saving as aggressively as early as Truex was. Truex went ahead and knew he had to start saving, and that's what if it's short, that's the best thing you can do. The sooner you can start saving, the more fuel you can save. Be interesting to see if one of these makes it and one of it doesn't.
So Jeff, as we go on board with the 19, look at the green dots. That's throttle. You guys talk about part throttle. Dale Jr., you talk about running down the straightaway part throttle. Well, let's look at Suarez. He's out of the throttle a long time. He's going back to the throttle wide open. Let's see if he goes to part throttle on the straightaway. He doesn't.
Yeah. Well, he lifts early, though. He was lifting pretty early. But listen, Suarez just ran a 38.40. Martin Truex Jr. ran a 40 flat.
So Jeff,
a second and a half difference, and that's how much Truex is saving.
So Jeff, let's go on board with the 78. We can do the same thing. Let's ride on board with the 78. Look at his telemetry. If he's running that slow, we should easily be able to see his throttle position compared to the 19.
Yeah, see the partial throttle already?
All the way around the track, guys.
It's all the way out. Just a little bit of throttle. Never wide open, is he, Steve?
Nope. Jeff, or Dale Jr., you called it, right? Part throttle down the straightaways. It's an easier calculation for the teams. Simple math, Rick. It takes less time to run slow laps than it does come to pit road.
So the gamble potentially paying off.
The 19's coming to pit road.
See, that didn't work for Suarez. Suarez does have to come to pit road.
Steve, to your point, though, that's with 3 to go. So he may just be limiting the potential damage by pitting now versus later. Dave.
5 points he gave up there, gentlemen. 5 stage points did Daniel give up, but they want to make sure they don't run him out of fuel. Comes down pit road. He'll get 4 Goodyear tires here and a full fill of fuel. Kelly?
We saw that throttle trace on the 78. Martin Truex Jr. saying he's barely using the throttle at all. Cole Pearn had told him that he needed to go another half a second slower per lap to make this work. And their biggest fear, as Letarte was saying, is running out of fuel under the caution laps.
So you see how much he slowed down here, Rick. So look, let's be clear. The gamble was that they were going to get some more yellows and be able to run hard and keep the lead. They didn't get those yellows, so now it's just trying to mitigate the issue.
He's running out. You hear it running out now.
Yep, there you go. Pit road is closed.
Oh, my God.
Gas on the back stretch.
That's just...
And if pit road's going to be closed, it's going to be another penalty.
Coming to you.
So he's out of gas completely. So he's going to lose multiple laps here. He's going to lose at least 1 lap if you pit normal. With how much time he's losing as he coasts, you see it picks up a little gas.
We'll need 4 tires here. The 4.
With this penalty, why would he come to pit road, though? He had a fuel. At least, could he get back around one more time?
He obviously doesn't feel like he can. I mean, with that pickup, usually only has about 1 lap's worth of fuel, so now we see the 78 stop in his box.
So this will be a penalty as there's the final lap for this stage, and Kevin Harvick still out in front, easily in front of Kyle Busch. He's going to get the stage win. So sweeping stage 1 and stage 2. And as Kyle Busch finishes second, it'll be stage points, but he doesn't get the playoff point that Kevin Harvick got, another one. So now those two have 35 playoff points. I want to go back to Daniel Suarez, though. Daniel Suarez comes before the end of the stage. He's obviously not going to come back to pit road. Potentially could get, actually he's not going to get the free pass because Matt DiBenedetto is going to get that. But Daniel Suarez is going to be able to stay out on the racetrack for 40-plus laps. He has to win this race. He's got to do something different because he wasn't running up front.
Yeah, well, now what the 19 will do, they'll just stay out and take the wave around, but they've lost all their track position. When you get aggressive with your strategy and it goes wrong, the negative is not just time on the racetrack, but frustration. Martin Truex knows he has a fast race car. You can see, hands up. Why? Why are we taking this risk?
Sweeping the stages, Kevin Harvick, stage 1 and stage 2. Grabbing that extra playoff point. Puts him in a tie now for Kyle Busch, 35 points apiece.
Well, Rick, penalties are stacked up for the 78, so we'll watch the front tire changer right here. Take the right front tire off. Everything's fine, right? You can have it that close to you, but right here, when he leaves and no one's around that tire, I know it's only a brief second, and then the rear tire carrier gets there to take the tire with him. That's an uncontrolled tire. That right front tire can't get there. But maybe NASCAR says, listen, about an arm's reach. Has to be within arm's reach of everybody. It was in an arm's reach, but when he left, that's a penalty. Dave?
Kyle Busch comes to pit road, gives up the second position. He said, guys, I can handle doing something different in 3 and 4. You got to help me in turns 1 and 2. Didn't take any tires last time. This time he'll get some, Marty.
We talked about a wedge adjustment for Ryan Blaney. He waved that off from behind the wheel, said, no, let's just go with air pressure here. The car too tight for Blaney throughout the run. For Kevin Harvick, he said, I'm a little bit too tight in the middle of 1 and 2 and in the middle of 3 and 4. They are going to make a wedge adjustment, take on 4 fresh Goodyear tires for pretty much everybody here on pit road in Sunoco Fuel. As we begin stage 3, Harvick is going to win the race off pit road over the 18 car.
Very close. Harvick, Kyle Busch, Blaney, and Kurt Busch all holding their position. 4-tire stop. That's how close it was. Kyle Busch obviously running quite a bit quicker there as he was headed to the line. Once again, Kevin Harvick looking like he is in championship form, winning stage 1 and stage 2. The final stage of the Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Michigan coming up.
Here at Michigan International Speedway right now, this race belonging to Kevin Harvick. When we join you for the NASCAR America post-race show presented by Honda Power Sports, what will be the power move? Is it going to come from the pits, on track? Kyle Petty right now is probably thinking it might come from him because he picked Kevin Harvick. He said Kevin Harvick would be the favorite in this race. Will Kyle Petty be gloating when we join you atop the grandstands as looking down on victory lane? Which driver will be joining us? You have to tune in to find out. Still, though, a lot of racing, right?
Absolutely. And I think Kyle Petty gloats all the time, though. So I'm guessing that he will be gloating even if Kevin Harvick doesn't win this race. Although right now looking very strong after winning stage 1 and stage 2. Look forward to that at the Peacock Pit Box at the end of this race.
Okay, Rick, I hope you were paying attention. People had trouble. Daniel Suarez, a 78, both lost a lap there at the end of stage 2. Did you go to your garage? Did you make the lineup switch? Did you improve your lineup? I put the 78 in the garage on both of my lineups. We'll see if he can recover. But how about the drivers over there? Did y'all adjust your lineups as need be?
I forgot.
That makes me feel good. Sorry, Jeff, but that makes me feel great.
We're working over here, bud.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I could have put Jones. I got Jones in my lineup and Blaney in the garage, and I probably should have switched them.
Well, when I hear this music, yes, that's right, football kicking off Thursday and September 6th on NBC. It's going to be a celebration in Philadelphia. The Eagles are going to raise their first Super Bowl banner before they host the Atlanta Falcons. I know you guys are all big fans of the Eagles.
As soon as the banner's up and that's all over, I'm going to tune in, Rick. But I can't handle the celebration.
I'm a Panthers fan, so if the Falcons lose, I'm happy.
Let's go back to Kelly.
Well, it's been a solid race so far for the 3-car of Austin Dillon. When I talked to his crew chief, Justin Alexander, about their restarts, he said it's been so lane dependent. If we're in the preferred lane, they've been really, really good. If we're not, they've been really, really bad. He's restarting 6th on that preferred lane, Dave. We'll see if he can take advantage.
Some of you may want to take Eric Almirola out of the garage. He's running 7th now, and he radioed earlier to his crew, if we can just get up front, we're going to be tough. They might be getting there, Marty.
Dave, for good reason. We've been talking about one Stewart-Haas car today. That's Kevin Harvick. He's led the most laps. He's leading right now. But how about his teammate Kurt Busch, all of a sudden up in 3rd? They made no changes on this last stop. 4 fresh Goodyear tires and a car that's handling pretty good. He might have a say in who wins this thing before it's over with.
He's in the inside line. We'll see if it works for him back there in the 3rd spot. Green flag back in the air on the final stage.
Logano making it 3 wide.
Big push from Ryan Blaney on Kevin Harvick. And Blaney is going to take 2nd away from Kyle Busch. 3 wide back there for 6th. Eric Almirola trying to get by in the 41. And Almirola can't keep it in the gas long enough. Kurt Busch surging ahead on the outside, but now Almirola once again coming up to the inside of that 41.
Behind them, two guys we haven't talked about all day long, Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson. Joey Logano getting in the mix.
Almirola makes the pass on Kurt Busch. Now Kurt Busch is going to try to cross him back over and go to the inside.
That's okay, though. That's what Almirola did. He drove in there, actually overdrove the corner to get on that outside, to get that preferred lane. Wasn't necessarily about just clearing the 41. It was about getting the outside, going down into 3, and you see it worked out.
Keselowski sideways.
Yeah, way loose.
3 wide here. Oh, look out.
Contact.
Logano gets loose on the bottom.
Way up the racetrack.
He was all the way out of the gas.
Holy man.
That helped Hamlin.
That wasn't a wreck.
Here comes Chase. I got my lap back. I'm coming.
Chase Elliott firing past the 11 of Denny Hamlin. And yes, here he comes.
I can't believe that.
Jimmy Johnson led 16 laps earlier today. That's a lot for him this year. He wants to get back up front.
Couldn't really get the throttle down with a 22 up behind him that close. Joey gets position with a side draft down the back straightaway to clear. Behind them, Clint Boyer to the inside of 88.
I'm fired up, Rick. This racing is great. They said it wasn't a wreck. I think it was a wreck that just didn't wreck.
It looked like a wreck, but nobody brought out the caution. And once again, doing a little side drafting, Kurt Busch, the same thing that Almirola had done to him, and he takes the position back.
How close this is right here. 22 on the very, very bottom. Real tight, not a lot of side force on his car. Chasing back big time.
This was close. And sometimes, like, Joey didn't necessarily want to be on the bottom 3 wide, but Keselowski checked up, and they just find themselves there. It just happens in a split second.
You can see Larson right on the edge of control around the top of that corner.
Junior, I've seen you do that here before. We came here to test one day, and you worked that groove up 2-3 grooves over the course of the day. You think someone like Larson has the ability to widen that groove out just a few feet if he's consistent?
Yeah, in 3 and 4, if you could spend the time there, I think you could get that top groove even out, higher, a whole nother lane higher.
Hey, Junior, he ran the cushion at Knoxville last night in a dirt car, so how come you guys can do the same thing here? You're not a dirt racer by trade.
No, but racing's racing. A lot of comparisons. And Larson's the best, I think, at running the top because of that dirt experience. Pays off in these cars even.
We talk about Kyle Larson in racing. Knoxville Nationals ending about 12:45 this morning, and so he had a flight back from Knoxville, Iowa. Now he's racing here in the 42. Listen into his radio.
Yeah, left rear's folded in. I can't tell if it's in at the tire or if it's folded in back behind the quarter panel. Yeah, looking at it.
They're talking about that damage where the 22 came up and hit that left rear quarter panel.
We should zoom in, give him a look. It looks to me like the damage is behind the tire. Over the top of the tire, it looks okay. You see it's peeled out behind the tire.
Hang on to it, hang on to it.
Oh, well, the caution's come out.
On the fence. 13 car, I believe.
Martin Truex Jr.
Turn down the hill, turn down the hill.
Was scored as the highest scored lap down car when the caution came out. More than likely he will get the free pass. Ty Dillon, the flames rolling underneath the 13. I'm sure they will be telling him to get out of that car. He'll drop the window net and climb out as quickly as he can.
Let's take a look at the replay, see what happened on the back straightaway, I believe is when it started.
You see the hood up a little bit there.
See the white car on the bottom of the racetrack. That's Ty. Oh, he ran over something.
What the heck?
Yeah, he ran over something, and then I don't know if it knocked an oil line out of it, Steve. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like oil smoke because it's coming out of both front tires. And right there, the right front tire looks up.
Oh, wow. This is huge.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. That angle of impact.
Spring rubber flying out of the car.
Let's go back and see if we can figure out what that was that he ran over.
Did he run over something, or did something?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, see it in the racetrack right there? Boom, and then, wow. I don't know if it knocked the whole line out of it or You know, the oil filter that is mounted down there pretty low in front of the engine, right there. The whole car jumped up in the air when he ran over it, so it's something solid.
Yeah, and then you can see the dark streak behind the car. That's oil for sure.
Is that?
It's got a piece of tape on
Is that
it.
a
Looks
piece
like
of
orange
lead?
tape.
Looks like a
That's got a piece.
tungsten.
Yeah, that's got to be a weight. Because
Oh, my.
watch the damage it does to this car.
You know, watch the front jump up when it hits it. If that is a piece of tungsten, look
Just
at that.
tears that splitter off.
If that is a piece of tungsten, Steve, they'll have to be labeled by the car numbers, right?
Right. The only thing I'm questioning, though, is if it was a piece of tungsten, you think you wouldn't explode it.
I agree.
Yeah, it wouldn't
I
have
don't.
disintegrated like
I
that.
don't think
I've
it was.
unfortunately seen people hit you know, it's a dangerous thing. That's why it's such a penalty, and you have to label it. Whatever it was, it exploded. But guys, it was not a spring rubber. Whatever it was solid.
You know what it might have been is a battery.
Oh yeah,
that
could have been a battery.
You could sell me on that.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a battery, there's somebody on the racetrack stopped. You know, so, I mean, that's the only thing.
Well, you'd feel that too, because they're on the left side. I mean, you'd run over that with your left rear tire, right?
I mean, I just don't know.
What do you think that is, guys?
I'm going
Destroyed,
battery, man.
whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's a battery.
It is. It is.
We don't
destroyed.
know.
It's a piece of debris, and it's going to have to be picked up. But it brought out the caution because of the 13 hitting it, and it destroyed the front of the 13. Actually, fire from underneath their tie is out safely. Dale Earnhardt Sr. said the atmosphere tends to change once the sun goes down. Well, he's talking about Bristol next Saturday night, and it's going to be exciting when we go back to Bristol Motor Speedway. New weather guarantee. Remember, said if the race gets rained out, you can use tickets or get tickets to any race in the next year. So awesome weather guarantee. We don't expect ever to be any rain.
No, but I do expect quite a bit of chaos. And the Bristol night race is the one race as a crew chief when they go by on the pace laps and the flash bulbs go off, you look around and say, okay, this isn't normal. This is something special. And there are so many great moments at that night race.
40th anniversary of racing under the lights at Bristol. That's coming up next weekend. And again, the mystery of what was on the racetrack will, I think, plague us for quite some time. Take another look.
Yeah, well, there it is sitting on the racetrack, and I understand why you think it's a battery, because it's rectangular shaped like a little battery. These cars have little batteries in them. I just don't know how, if it's a battery, there's not a car somewhere on the racetrack that's not running.
Well, it may stay running, as long as it doesn't shut off. The alternator will be able to keep some of these cars running. And I'm wondering about Darrell Wallace Jr. in that 43. Obviously, the 13 took, without a doubt, the biggest damage of this. But we'll look at the 43 behind him. The debris really scatters over the nose of the 43. So we talk about over 200 miles an hour. Right? It doesn't take a lot of damage to affect the car. We'll have to see what the 43 chooses to do, come to pit road or repair it. But once again, the reason we think it's a battery and not maybe weight or tungsten is because it kind of disintegrates.
Right.
Piece of steel, solid chunk of steel is just going to go right through that 13.
What's even crazier is that he's got 4 tires that are up, and that car just went straight in the corner like that.
So you ask yourself, was it oil? Was it something strong enough that it bent the center link or steering component?
Yeah, like locked the steering up?
Yeah, right. I mean, there's a lot of damage. We'll definitely have to hear from Ty. Glad to see him get out.
Yes.
So hopefully we'll talk to him when
he might be able to tell us what it was.
It's all over the racetrack, but you hit something that strong, and all the steering components are right there, right underneath the middle of the car, and it could have gone up and ripped the oil lines and take the steering out. I mean, it's just a huge impact. I mean, that angle of impact was huge.
And Jeff, you know how it is in the battle for aerodynamics. So people say all the time, how do you find downforce? Okay, this is going to blow your mind, but you find them with steering components. You find them with stuff underneath the car. They change the shape, they get them lower to the ground. They do all of these tricks to find a counter downforce here or there, because the little hint, Rick, you do not design a car to hit something at 200 miles an hour down the backstretch.
Okay,
you can design it to do that, but it's going to go about 3 or 4 seconds slower than your competition. So.
That's right.
The homework that I asked you, how close are you on that?
Me?
Yeah. What did I ask
gave
you?
up
What did I ask
after
you
like
about 2 or 3 weeks?
165 things. You said you wanted a list of everything a crew chief can change at the racetrack during practice.
Yes.
I threw the towel in at like 165, Rick. I won't lie.
It's like, it's well over 150 or 200 things that you guys can do to a car to make it faster.
I was never good at homework. I'm still not good at homework. Tyler, if you're listening, you have to do your homework.
Yes.
Me, was never very good.
He didn't even ask us because he knew we wouldn't do it.
All right, you guys. We mentioned 4 races away from the playoffs. 4 races remain in the regular season. So now we're into that, obviously, the start of that 4 races here in Michigan. We go to Bristol next week, a short track where if someone is frustrated, normally there's payback that takes place there. Darlington, very difficult mile and a third racetrack. And then, of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Well, you talk about those 4 different races. Well, who does it matter the most to? In my mind, it's those guys at the bottom. Jimmie Johnson trying to make sure he's in the playoffs. Alex Bowman both currently ahead of the 17th position, which means they're in. Barring an upset winner or something different, we have Ricky Stenhouse, Paul Menard on the outside looking in. So it's a battle for points to make the playoffs, but it's also a battle for points at the top of the grid. You look at Harvick, Busch, Truex. Guys, they're starting to get such a lead in those playoff standings. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it's got to make them feel a lot better about the first couple rounds of the playoffs.
We're going to Bristol. I'm excited about that, being a broadcaster at that racetrack. But Stenhouse, he's good at Bristol. He's got some top 5 finishes there. So, you know, we've got a pretty big gap between him and Bowman right now. We could be singing a different tune by the end of that race. And still with a lot of opportunity for, like, Menard. He wins at Indy on fuel mileage. Somebody like Menard, Suarez, Newman, they could do that in that very last race. We're going to see some crazy risks taken by these crew chiefs at Indianapolis for that track position.
When you see 2 of those guys at the bottom, Jimmie Johnson and Alex Bowman, and saw last week, Chase Elliott got that win, and that was Chase Elliott. That was Hendrick Motorsports' 250th win. So we go back and look at Jeff Bodine. They put Jeff Bodine in that car. He was so good at Martinsville, had a lot of experience there in modifieds and late model sportsman cars. And look at all the different drivers, the different tracks they've won on. Just done a great job. Youngest winner, Kyle Busch. Oldest winner, Mark Martin. By the way, they had the same crew chief when they did that. 12 championships. It's unbelievable, Junior, to be part of that, I'm sure.
It was, you know. Worked with him for half of my career. It's hard to believe, but for the first half, when I was driving for DEI, I always wondered what it was like in that shop from behind those doors where Steve was working. Professionalism and how they won all those races, won all those championships, what they were doing in their cars that maybe we weren't doing. So it was great to get over there and check all that out.
Yeah, and I think this 250 not only has to be very special because of the amount of wins and the history, but think about how it came. A long dry spell since Indianapolis of last year. And every time you talk to the crew chiefs, the drivers, Mr. Hendrick, they talk about how hard they were working and never did it waver. They were confident they were going to go back to victory lane. Chase Elliott proved why. It wasn't just a fluke. I mean, he really stepped up at New Hampshire, backed it up with a good run at Pocono, and then just pulled out and passed the 18 of Kyle Busch at Watkins Glen. Anytime you can go by any of these big 3, it's a great run.
So, Stevie, you're our crew chief. Let's hear from some of the crew chiefs down on pit road. We'll start down there with Marty.
Rick, to give you some behind the scenes, it's sort of like halftime of a football game down here. Everybody's kind of resetting their race here. So with 62 to go, Rodney Childers, how does Kevin close this one out?
Well, I mean, I feel like we got a really good car. Everybody's done a great job all day. Kevin's done a great job for us. And, you know, it's all about just executing this last stage and doing everything right. It's a tough place to pass, but we've had one of the few cars that's been able to pass all day. So just really proud of everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing and everybody at Roush Yates for the job that they've done. And, you know, hopefully we can pull this one off. We've been close here a lot of times, so hopefully we can do it.
A lot of speedy dry on the racetrack. How worried are you about that on this restart?
Yeah, I was watching it a minute ago. It was a few dump truck loads. It looked like it reminded me a few nights racing at Hickory, but you know they'll do a good job. They'll clean it up, and we'll get back racing here.
Kevin Harvick's had the car to beat. 61 laps to close it out, Dave.
Ty Dillon just walked from the infield care center. Describe the moment when you struck something. Do you have any idea what it was?
It's either a battery or chunk of lead, which is really unfortunate. Hopefully that team, whoever's piece it was, can claim it. When you're going that fast, you don't realize it until you hit something. It goes through your oil cooler, and you have no control of your car. So I hate it for our guys. We brought a better piece, a better Geico Camaro, and we were running stronger all day, which was a good progression for our team. And to hit something of somebody else's doing and ruin our day was unfortunate, and on top of it, pretty hard hit too. So I hate it for our guys. That was a new piece. That was strong, and as long as we can keep developing off that, I think we'll be okay. But man, that wasn't good. Hopefully they figure out whose piece that was.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just wounded pride.
Yeah, that's a gut punch when you've been running as well as he was today, guys.
Yeah, I think that one thing I'm sure if guys at home are sitting there watching are like, hey, there's something sitting in the racetrack. How do you hit it? Because he was kind of centered up with it for a long time. But you're not looking at the racetrack. You're looking, see right here, I mean, see Larson, he swerves at the last minute and he misses it. But if you compare this to what Ty is doing, Ty is racing someone. He's on the inside of someone racing, and you're not looking at the racetrack. You're looking at that car to the right. You're looking at the line that you want to be in. I mean, you're looking in the mirror. You're not expecting something to be sitting in the middle of the racetrack.
Something as big as potentially a battery, which, like you said, he had no control of his car once he hit that. A couple cars making their way onto pit road, one of those being Logano, the other one the 42 of Kyle Larson, and then behind them at least 10 more cars making their way onto pit road. Dave.
22 of Joey Logano, make sure he gets his car full of Sunoco fuel. They can take on a couple of tires here too. They'll take on 4. Kyle Larson on pit road as well. The last time Larson hit pitted was on lap 123.
Little extended stop for this 42. We showed the contact on the racetrack. It looks like they're working on that left rear, making sure they don't have a tire rub. And Rick, I was doing the calculations. You have 60 laps to go. We know no one can make it 60 laps without some help, but 78 just tried to go 60 laps. He only ended up 2 laps short. So I'm not thinking there's a big strategy call here, but really pay attention. If you get another quick yellow, we've seen restarts can go crazy. Maybe we get somebody to spin out. So just got to really keep your pencil sharpened up. There's no telling how soon we may get into the window. They've proven they would gamble it. You know, they will gamble from a long ways outside, but we think they could go into green, which is 45 laps.
Okay, so Suarez, who had to come to pit road at the end of stage 2, came to pit road now, and I'm guessing topped off with fuel. You said, you know, they couldn't make it the last time. So what kind of strategy could they put into play now to get them up front, maybe contest for a win?
Well, what you look at is reducing your time of being on pit road if you have to come again. So what all these guys have done is they've given not only fresh tires, but filled their tanks up with fuel. So if we run 8 or 10 laps and the yellow comes out again, these guys are going to need a splash and go, maybe 1.5 seconds worth of fuel. Right. Where the leaders, they might need 6, 7, 8 seconds worth of fuel. Plus they might say, you know, we need 8 seconds. Let's take 2 tires. Maybe you can leapfrog some of those guys. I mean, the whole point is that you just always have to be on the offensive, I guess is what I'm saying. You have to continue to leave the door open. Whatever chance you can have to try to gain an advantage if luck does fall your way and the cautions fall at the right time.
All right, so that's the strategy from the pit crew. Want to hear from the drivers. Let's look at today's Ram trucks proven to last from a driver's perspective, guys.
Yeah, there's it. Be in the right lane on the restarts. I mean, how do you do that? It's really pot luck. I mean, you just kind of got to hope that you're in the right lane, and if you're not, you can force yourself into the areas you want to be in the lane you want to be, and you got to be aggressive. You got to be willing to do that to other guys on the racetrack and take the line from them if you're on that inside.
The other thing you got to do is, we've seen it all day long, pit road has had a huge role to play in this race, and a lot of mistakes on pit road, some good calls on pit road as well. So minimize the mistakes on pit road, and then your pit crew has to hit that pit stop at the right time, because we've seen how hard it is to pass. So if you can have a great pit stop and a great restart, you have a wonderful chance to win this race.
A couple muffins over there to your left, Jeff. You might want to make sure that that's filled up so that those people are taken care of over there.
Rick, I've spent a couple days with you, and the way you eat, I've had to stay away from those muffins, because I think I put on 4 pounds this weekend just hanging out with you.
I saw the gentleman come up there behind you guys.
Play-by-play, the Brad Keselowski fan, he's deciding muffin, croissant, muffin, croissant, muffin. I'm going with the croissant. Good, clean transition to the plate, didn't drop it. Good thing he was on camera. Everybody was going to see if he had a little mistake in the buffet line.
And he has no idea about that inside line and restarts like you guys were just talking about with the Ram proven to last.
He also has no idea that blueberry muffin's what he should have got.
He was busy kind of glancing at you with the side eye going, I think that's Dale Jr.
You notice he skipped right over the salad.
Yeah.
There is salad there. No interest at all.
All right, they are giving them 1 to go. The track has been cleaned up. Everyone who wanted to come to pit road did. And now they'll go 2 by 2 and get ready for the restart. Kevin Harvick and Ryan Blaney will be in the front row. We talk about restarts. You guys just mentioned it.
Well, all day long we've seen a lot of aggression on restarts, and you know, we didn't think the bottom lane would work very well. Early in this race, the bottom did work well. The leader kept picking the top, and the inside lane would get the lead.
Red guys are going 3 wide on these restarts as well, with Blaney here on the inside of Hamlin, making that work. You're going to see that happen more and more. These guys are going to get more and more aggressive. All the pushing going on from the second lane.
And that's turned into a skill, is pushing on a restart, and you're going to see that ratchet up. And then right here, once again, it's how you launch. You got to have a great launch. You got to have a great pusher. Denny Hamlin pushing Jimmy Johnson. Restarts are going to get more and more important. That means they're going to get more and more aggressive.
Well, once again, the Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Michigan International Speedway has been entertaining up to this point. Now 57 laps to go. The 3 of Austin Dillon running there in the second row will be trying to push the 4 of Kevin Harvick. We'll see if he can propel both of them out in front of the 12 of Ryan Blaney, who'll be on the inside of row number 1. Back there, Kyle Busch is also there in the 18, always great at restarts. Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski making up row 3. Second row, not close enough to give either car a real good shove on that restart. But Kevin Harvick shoots out to the lead, as Rodney Childers said. So good of a race car and hard to get by the 4 today.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney, he started second and he's all the way back to 4th. We talked about that preferred lane. Well, he couldn't pick what he wanted.
Austin Dillon is all the way up to 2nd place right now, pulling Brad Keselowski with him into 3rd.
Side by side, 2 brothers fighting for position. Kyle Busch on the outside, Kurt Busch on the inside.
Chase Elliott pushing Kyle. That's going to help Kyle down this front straightaway. Oh, Kurt up the racetrack.
He's right on his bumper here.
See if Chase tries to make a move right here. He's all over him. See if he tries to drive in a little bit deep. Doesn't do it. Almirola is, though.
Can't get to that quarter panel to get the side draft there. Chase, you know, he gets the run on the 41 and he doesn't make the decision to go the inside because he knows that if he doesn't complete that pass, he's going to lose the position to the 10. That's what's so tough about racing here, is knowing when to make that pass, when to make that move to the inside, and when not to. He gave up the opportunity to try to pass the 41 to not lose the position to the 10 and potentially lose it.
Yes. Guys, I was enjoying that. I got caught up there a little bit. Sorry. Want to go through the field. Brought to you by Hardee's. We're going to start with Marty.
Hey, Rick, I love what Kevin Harvick told us from the pre-race. The only thing I'm concerned about left in the regular season, winning races. That's it. So far, he's in the position to do that, has led the most laps here in Michigan. And his next win, by the way, would tie Bill Elliott for 17th on the all-time list with 44 wins, Kelly.
Austin Dillon in position for his first top 5 finish since winning the Daytona 500. As crew chief Justin Alexander told me today would be a real test for them. They've got a brand new race car with all the latest bells and whistles. He said the most important thing for them is to build some momentum ahead of the playoffs so they can go on a positive note into Las Vegas, Marty.
Kelly Paul Wolf, the crew chief for Brad Keselowski, told me I use this as a benchmark race. We ran top 5 here in June. If we don't run top 5 today, we've got some work to do for the playoffs. But how about this? Remember, Keselowski had the loose right front earlier in the day. He's rallied back in 3rd right now. His teammate Ryan Blaney is in 4th, and he came on the radio immediately when this run started, a lap in, and said, already 3 rounds up on the track bar, way too tight for that 12 car right now, Dave.
Kyle Busch was asked what he would need on the final stop. He said it takes 8 to 10 laps for this car to come in. We need to get that better. That's just too long.
Dave Kurt Busch right now in the 6th position. He told me, I always approach Michigan as bragging rights for the manufacturers. Here to represent Ford today, and right now having another very solid run here at Michigan in the 6th position, but would like to have the outside line if he can on the next restart, Dave.
Chase Elliott up into the top 10. Talked to his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, this morning. He said, I'm pretty optimistic about our car because we didn't have to take the back end out very much to get this car to turn. The front end has been working very well for us. As for the 10 of Eric Almirola, asked Johnny Klausmeier how he likes working with him this morning. He said, I like it a lot. In fact, he reminds me of two guys that are in the big three, Truex and sorry, I got that wrong, but anyway, one of them, Truex, he said he reminds him a lot of him. And even Kevin Harvick, strategy-wise, he likes the way Eric thinks. Two of the big three are like Almirola, Marty.
Denny Hamlin in the 9th position right now. He came on the radio during the last run, said, man, traffic today has been just rough back here. Remember, he told us earlier, best car I've had all year long. He said we've had speed for the last month, but we don't have execution. So don't be surprised if Mike Wheeler pulls a little strategy with one more stop to go. Meanwhile, Clint Bowyer is back there in the 10th position right now. He's had a tight race car for much of the day. He spent the week in North Dakota at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, hoping for a little bit more in the second half of this final stage here, Kelly.
A little bit of strategy had Jimmy Johnson up front to lead 13 laps here. They don't have a brand new race car here in the 48, but they're trying some new things that they hope will help them down the road. Their biggest issue, they want to keep throwing different things at this car, but they also got to be conscientious of the point situation. They've got just one driver, their teammate, separating them from that playoff cutoff line, Rick.
And Paul Menard just creeping by the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, so he will take that 11th spot away from Johnson. Kevin Harvick doesn't want anyone to take any positions away from him as he's out front as we go NASCAR nonstop. Joey Logano just getting by Jimmy Johnson and taking that 12th spot away, and so Johnson drops back to 13th. Ryan Newman will be the next one that's behind him that he's going to try to keep behind him. And with 45 laps to go in this race, 44 now, everyone would be inside of their fuel window once they start coming to pit road, but they've got a ways to go.
Yeah, the yellow came out now, everybody would pit, so strategy perhaps behind us at this point, but now it's who has the best race car.
Eric Jones, again, currently running 16th. Busy day for the 20 team.
I was going to say, normally it wouldn't be the highlight of 16th, but Eric Jones, busy was pretty polite. This is early. I mean, right away in the race, he talked about how free his car was. The seams really upset it. Lost control, spins out, goes through the gas. Very lucky that the grass didn't damage the left front fender. And then a little bit of insult to injury.
Yeah.
Couldn't beat the light off pit road, loses a lap.
So it was an unfortunate day so far for Eric Jones, but as you mentioned, somewhat battling back, running in the 16th position after all of this has happened.
Yeah, we're going to go for the second spin of the day. Still no contact.
Time now for us to get into the Toyota fast lane as we're talking about Eric Jones and Martin Truex Jr. He's had an eventful day as well.
Yeah, spun out, ran out of gas. I mean, other than that, pretty much status quo for the 78, but he's done a great job of recovering from all of that. Still on the lead lap, up to the 17th position. So, and he pitted a lap later than everyone else. He pitted at lap 141. That's 59 to go. I don't think he can make it on fuel, but it's like I talked. Cole Pearn, one more time of just saying, hey, trying to give my driver an option.
Well, it's been a busy weekend for Eric Jones as well. On Thursday, Eric Jones visited Toyota's new Research and Development Center, which is just down the road in Saline. While Michigan isn't considered a home race for Toyota, the manufacturer actually has a large presence in the area with almost 2,000 team members. Eric toured the facility. He talked with the chief engineer and designer of the Toyota Tundra and Tacoma. He also actually ran into a family friend and an engineer at the center who is Fred Floto. Eric wrapped the visit up with a tutorial on total human model for safety, a process used by NASCAR, which safely enhances the driver cockpit area. And now let's take a look at today's Toyota driver update. We mentioned that Eric Jones running in that now 15th position. Kyle Busch up there in the top 5 and 5th.
And I won't lie, a little surprised. The talk all weekend was about Denny Hamlin in that 11. He went out, he sat on the pole, and then really paced both practices as far as average lap and the buzz in the garage. But really from the drop of the green today, I won't say he's not good. He's just not great, and that's what we expected. He's kind of bounced around inside the top 10 all day.
Yeah, the best Toyota has been the 18 of Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch right now running in the 5th position.
And what is
Kelly?
Well, now we see Alex Bowman, the first to come to pit road once they're inside their fuel window. He's had a car that's been chattering in the right rear. 2 Goodyear tires at Sunoco Field for the 88.
Hey, Kelly, this is going to be very interesting. So this is a strategy call apparently for the 88, but new tires just haven't been worth a lot of lap time. He was running in the 18th position, so a gamble for Greg Ives in this 88 car. We'll see if this gamble forces anyone else to come to pit road. I don't think it will. I think everyone's going to run out a little bit longer.
Steve, I think that's what we need, though, right now. We need to see somebody gamble, because if you look at the scoring monitor, you have Kevin Harvick up front, and he's been dominant. He's won 6 races already this year. Who's going to gamble to try to steal a win away from him?
Well, and I'm a little surprised to see it. Alex Bowman in this 88 car, because they're the 16th car on points, only 50 points above Ricky Stenhouse Jr. currently as they run on the racetrack. So you would think he would have the most to lose, but I like the aggression as we ride on board with Kevin Harvick. He's going to show you while he's leading this race. See on the left side of the screen, we've run along board with a lot of drivers, and I can assure you none have looked this calm behind the wheel.
I'm telling you, he looks comfortable, which you just don't anticipate that. You saw almost the slowest speed in the turn, 176 miles an hour, and now it's going to go over 205 miles an hour entering turn 1. Incredible speed. We go NASCAR nonstop. Coming up tonight on NBCSN, post-race coverage, hashtag Victory Lap, Racing Roots, Martin Truex Jr. and Glory Road.
Is it required to put the hand signal every time you say hashtag?
I don't know, but I do it for some reason.
I noticed.
Hashtag Victory Lap.
I'm a Jimmy Fallon fan as well. It's okay. Totally acceptable. You know, the other thing that's upcoming? Potentially green flag pit stops.
Yes.
And we have seen pit road be mistake-filled today by really everyone, crew and driver. We've seen loose wheels, uncontrolled tires, drivers making mistakes. So I'm going to climb off the pit box. I'm going to gather my pit crew up. I'm going to give them a little pep talk. Guys, we don't need the best stop. We need a mistake-free stop. If we lose a couple tenths of a second under green, it's not going to kill us, but a penalty will end our day, our chances to win the race. And then, guys, I'm going to get on the radio and talk to my driver and make sure you understand. I know you should know, but you've been busy all day. Remind you of how important this last stop's going to be.
And that's where practice on pit road during practice is important. Pick up your marks, and now some more cars on pit road, Kelly.
And we've got the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has made his way to pit road. They're actually having a better day, I think, than Brian Patty expected. His car starts off a little bit tight, kind of on the splitter. They're going to give him 4 tires, made a wedge adjustment as well.
Yeah, what I started to say, Steve, is that it's so important to get ready as a driver to pick up your marks on where your braking zone is to get onto pit road, so you don't speed on pit road. You don't speed through pit road. It's very easy to do. A guy like Kevin Harvick with a 3.5-second lead, there's no need in trying to get on pit road a whole lot better than everybody else. Be a little bit cautious. Don't make a mistake, get caught speeding.
Look at the left rear quarter panel of Jamie McMurray.
Definitely, you see the brake or the brace hanging down below it. The sheet metal folded up. Doesn't look like it's going to rub the tire. Let's take a look at how this happened. Oh, I'm guessing there's going to be some contact. No contact.
Before the contact.
And you see the car actually moved around. There was so much aerodynamics that moved the car around when that broke, Dave.
Kyle Busch gives up 5th position for his final stop. Remember, he wanted the car to come in just a little bit sooner. 2 laps ago, he radioed the team. It's just too tight. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco Fuel, Marty.
Clint Bowyer running the back half of the top 10, really trying to unbury themselves from that 4-tire call earlier in the day. He said the car just does not turn as well on this run, so you're going to see a wedge adjustment for Bowyer. It's going to be 2 and now 4 Goodyear tires for Clint Bowyer coming down pit road. Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers making the call to come down pit road in the early part of this cycle. As it sits, we talk about this battle for the regular season championship. Harvick would knock 8 points out of Kyle Busch's lead currently. Harvick has said the car's just a little bit too tight. You see a very small wedge adjustment, and that's it for Kevin Harvick here on pit road. Brad Keselowski on the right side of your screen. They too going to go with 4 fresh Goodyear tires. He said the car's a little bit too tight in the center, but don't free me up too much. Make a little swing at it. And for Kurt Busch, he's been running in the top 5 the entire time. He said the car was just a little bit tight. They do a wedge adjustment for him, 4 fresh Goodyear tires as well. Steve, I'm a little surprised all these teams went with 4 tires down here, considering they might have gone with 2 and gained a little track position.
Yeah, Marty, I'm with you. Now the question is, what will Justin Alexander do, the crew chief for Austin Dillon, the current leader of the race? He was behind a little bit. Will he gamble? Or maybe the 12 of Ryan Blaney, will they gamble with 2 tires, Marty?
And remember, 2 laps into the run, we told you Ryan Blaney said his car was tight, and they got tighter the longer he ran. He said, guys, we've really got to do something here. You're going to see a big wedge adjustment, also air pressure, and there you go. One team making the gamble for 2 tires. We'll see if that picks up Blaney at all.
So again, Ryan Blaney running up inside the top 10 and giving up that position to come to pit road, but also making a strategy play, just a 2-tire stop quick on pit road. And now the 11 headed towards you, Marty.
And we'll see if Mike Wheeler makes a call here to go with 2 tires for Denny Hamlin. He said the car's been tight in traffic, just atrocious for this team. Remember, Denny told us at the beginning of the day, best car he's probably had all year long. For these guys, it is going to wind up being a 4-tire stop for Denny Hamlin, and air pressure adjustment trying to free up this 11 car, and a little bit longer stop here for the 11 team on pit road.
So you see the pit stop for the 11 on the right-hand side of the screen. On the left, the leader of the race, Austin Dillon, trying to keep the 4 of Kevin Harvick a lap down. He was unable to do it.
Well,
once he gets passed by the 4, I think it's definitely going to happen with those 4 fresh tires. I think the 3 is going to want to come to pit road as soon as possible and try to get some fresh tires on that car as well. But they elect to stay on the racetrack. I think they're just losing some time here, Jeff.
Yeah, it looks like he's going by pit road. I'm surprised also that he's not going to come ahead and pit and put those tires on, because clearly 4 tires are better. And that's a time you can do 2. You know what I mean? And stay as close as you can to him and come in and do 2 to take a chance to win this race.
Is this a wait until a caution comes out now?
It is, but the 4 of Kevin Harvick will just stay on the racetrack. So you might have a little bit better tire than him.
This time.
So you're
It'll be 2 tires. It'll be 2 tires. Do not slide them.
So I like that call, but I wish you would have come a couple laps ago. Before this pit cycle started, the 3 of Austin Dillon was a little over 3 seconds behind the leader of Kevin Harvick. We're going to have to watch this cycle to see if he can bypass the leader.
And also, you heard Austin Dillon, you know, 4 tires, 2 tires, he needed to know, because your sequence of things that you do inside the car are different for 2 tires versus 4, Kelly.
Justin Alexander said, hey, we're going to stick to our plan, and you heard the call. It was for 2 right-side tires. They want to spend as little time as possible on pit road. Austin Dillon really happy with the balance of his race car.
Another 2-tire strategy. We saw it out of Ryan Blaney when he came to pit road. He was 7.2 seconds behind the leader, and so now Austin Dillon was the race leader when he came onto pit road, but a 2-tire stop to try to stay close to. Now coming out of turn 4, the 4 of Kevin Harvick.
So the whole question is the blend between Kevin Harvick, who should end up the race leader, or the 3 of Austin Dillon. Here is Kevin Harvick. We'll see if Austin Dillon shows up in the screen. You see him ahead on the apron. I believe he's going to pull off in front of the 4 off the back straightaway. The question is, can he hold the 4 off, who's going to be coming with a ton of momentum?
That will be the goal. The 3 trying to stay in front of the 4. Again, this isn't for the race lead now, but we know that Newman and Eric Jones, Martin Truex Jr., they all have to still come to pit road. Dave.
Joey Logano stayed up front. He'll now hit pit road and get 4 tires, or will it just be 2? Looks like they're going to go with the 2 and try to pick him up some time.
The gap closed now between the 3 and the 4.
Once again, Rick, you've said it, but it's important to say this is for like the 13th position, but everyone else has to pit as Kevin Harvick makes the move, Rick.
To the inside, trying to take 12th away from Austin Dillon, but again, potentially, as he side drafts him, a potential race for the race lead.
Lap traffic played a big role there. Gave Harvick the lane on the bottom and to go under that car, so Austin wasn't able to defend entering that corner. I wonder if Austin even knows from his spotter or the crew chief that was the race for the lead, or eventually will be the race for the lead once this all cycles through.
If he doesn't, when the race is over, he's going to be mad. I can tell you that. That's information you need to know, putting a lot of pressure on Harvick.
Look at Harvick's car moving, but Harvick's still in the throttle. He definitely upset the car, but Harvick never lifted.
Again, fighting for 11th and 12th, but they are the most recent to pit road. Now you can see the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. on pit road, Kelly.
Yeah, and they had considered a fuel-only stop, but as you see, they took 2 right-side tires. Martin Truex Jr. has just been a little bit loose, had to lower that track bar in that last run.
So you see 78 of Martin Truex Jr. leaving pit road, the 4 of Kevin Harvick, the 3 of Austin Dillon, currently racing for the 10th position, but with the leaders have to come to pit road, this could be for the race win.
$16 laps to go. Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Michigan International Speedway. Out front, it is Ryan Newman. And Newman is going to have to come to pit road, as will Erik Jones, Daniel Suarez, Larson, McMurray, Buescher. All have to come to pit road still.
Yeah, but there's 2 names right here in 7th and 8th that I want you to look at, Rick, and that is Harvick and Austin Dillon. The reason they've come to pit road, they have more than enough fuel to make it to the finish. Harvick's using what I consider the best car in the field and 4 fresh tires to move up through the running order. Dillon with a strategy call to take 2. Get him in front of Harvick for a little bit, but couldn't hold off the 4. Marty?
Hey, Steve, remember, we thought Ryan Newman was done. Contact with the wall. They broke a brake line. They have made several stops today. In fact, 7 stops to get that brake line fixed. I did check with Luke Lambert, and let me qualify this. Early in the weekend, he told me we have to be willing to take risks, take chances, to be able to gamble, because we have to win to make the playoffs. I did check with him. Are you going to try and make it 60 laps on 1 tank of fuel? They last pitted at lap 140. He told me no. So they are...
So the strategy for the 31 of Ryan Newman, as you just heard Marty say, they can't make it on fuel, is to hopefully get a yellow. They could get fresh tires, have the best tires. Perhaps just as soon as they pit, the yellow could come out. They stay in the lead lap. The whole flip to this is to just say, we're going to have the best tires for potentially a short run. They know they're losing time to the cars that have pitted. It's just a tire gamble at this situation.
How long can he go, though, before, you know, he's going to be close on fuel? How many laps left in the race?
Well, I think at this point, you're going to shorten your pit stop up as much as possible. I expect him to come on the pit road really probably in the next 6 or 7 laps. Maybe not even that long, 4 to 6 laps.
So about 10 laps to go.
Yeah, so I would take gas only at that point. There's probably not even reason to change tires.
Guys, to Marty's point, I mean, we wrote this 31 off.
5 away from needing your switch. Just be on your heads up for that.
So there you go, 5 away from needing to switch, meaning you explained that earlier, Steve. They can put that switch on. Erik Jones on pit road. These will be fuel-only stops. But think about RCR. Good day today. Newman had trouble, but he ran well before that trouble. His teammate Austin Dillon been competing for the lead with Harvick. Very, very good day for RCR.
Yeah, when this all shakes out, Austin Dillon is going to be in second. He'll be behind Kevin Harvick, and that's going to be the battle for the lead. But Harvick has put a little distance between himself and Austin Dillon, about a second.
And, you know, Rick, shame on me. I was sitting here thinking they're going to give up everything when they come to take gas only, but their pit stops are going to be so short that I think they're definitely going to lose the lead to the 4 of Kevin Harvick, but they're going to gain some spots on the racetrack. It's going to be interesting to see how this all kind of shakes out as these cars pit. It struck me when I looked at how short the 19 was in his pit stall. Like,
yeah.
2.5 seconds. That was short.
Suarez was down there for a splash of fuel. And now Harvick is being scored 4th. So Newman, Kyle Larson, and McMurray all have yet to come to pit road. They were on pit road at lap 40. They're going to be running out soon if they don't. And here we go with Newman and Larson on pit road. Dave.
Fuel only for the 42 car, just as they have done so far. And again, that whole strategy of at least taking less time on pit road to see if it can work out for Kyle Larson.
And the same for Ryan Newman, going to be fuel only here. We'll see what happens. You see the big wedge adjustment for Newman. That could have been their shot to make the playoffs, but 60 laps, just too far to stretch it, guys.
Yeah, it's one thing gambling, it's another thing just jumping off a cliff, isn't it, Steve? You know you can't make it. It's silly to, I mean, that's not even close, you know, 10 laps short, so it's silly to even try that.
And McMurray was just passed for the race lead by the 4 of Kevin Harvick. So Harvick is now the leader as he comes around and puts 10 to go on the board.
I think Ross Chastain slow coming off of pit road. Potentially a rear end has broken or an axle is broken on that. The right rear tire was spinning. The left, he wasn't moving very quickly. So he's coming off of pit road. McMurray is on pit road. But look at already the career at Michigan for Kevin Harvick. He had a win that came back 8 years ago. 35 starts and 7 runner-up finishes at this racetrack. 16 top 10s. So it's a good racetrack. Obviously, all the top 5s that he's been able to accumulate. The one win, but really a dominant day today. I mean, in an unbelievably dominant day. The next lap that he leads, which ultimately is coming up here, now that he's up front again, will be his 100th lap led here in this race. And it's only 200 total. So he has led now over 50% of the laps at Michigan.
Guys, we got an issue on pit road. Looks like Trevor Bayne in the 6 car is stalled on pit road just past the start-finish line.
If he can't get that going, a caution will come out.
He seems like he got it fired and then it shut back off.
Was out of fuel. He came on the pit road out of fuel, so obviously there's not enough fuel in the fuel line or the pump or the car to actually start the motor. There he goes. Looks like he's getting it fired up. It keeps stalling out on him.
The crew is over the wall and pushing him back now. They're going to try to push him back into his stall.
Yeah, he had left his stall, and it couldn't keep it running.
And so they will push him back. They're only 3 stalls away now from his pit stall.
Hey guys, I'm going to tell you what I find fascinating is that, you know, we've talked about the big 3 over and over and over all year long. It's fascinating to me how they keep one-upping each other. And as they do, they leave the field further behind. And I don't know that I've ever seen a time where, you know, Harvick will step up and you think, oh my gosh, you can't beat him. And then Busch will step up and, oh, nobody's better beat him. And then, I mean, Truex, it's crazy how these 3 are bringing each other to a higher and higher level almost every single week.
All right, Junior, are you starting to hear things? Are you feeling things when you have this good of a race car at a racetrack?
Yeah, I don't know if he is. He's got to be. I mean, the season he's having, he's pretty confident he's going to, not going to have any issues with his car. But yeah, you're running along here, have such a flawless day. It's been a few races since you've won. You start to think about what's going to happen. What is the yellow going to come out? What's going to happen to make this race a little more tougher to win? Kelly.
Well, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson there on pit road. He thought he had a loose wheel. He thought it was the right rear. I think they have gone ahead and changed all 4 tires here for the 48. An unexpected stop for Jimmy Johnson.
And that long of a stop more than likely will put him a lap down. He was running in the top 15 and then has plummeted now to being a lap down, running 28th. And 5 laps to go for Kevin Harvick.
Second
3.5 seconds back is Austin Dillon.
Yeah, still in second place. Got a healthy lead over third place Brad Keselowski. This is going to be a great day for this team. Been working real hard trying to find speed in their cars. Chevrolet's been working hard to find speed in the manufacturer.
3.5.
Won last weekend at Watkins Glen for HMS. RCR's qualified well, but I asked Austin this weekend in the garage area during practice how they were going to get their cars to race well. So they've been working hard trying to figure that out, and they've done it today.
Interesting, we were in the garage with, or actually in the driver owner lot with Austin yesterday, and he is trying to run a 40-yard dash in 4.8 seconds. He has a bet with someone. He said, all right, I know that I can do it. I just got to work on it. So we timed him in 1, and he was 4.9. And so,
and then Ricky gave you some tips, and he ran a 5.4.
It was really funny, though, because he was asking, how do you run a little bit faster? Well, he was running faster on foot, and now you see that the RCR car is running faster on the racetrack as well. So Austin Dillon picking things up for the entire organization as he runs second here at Michigan. Under 3 laps to go now. And again, the domination of Kevin Harvick. Already 6 wins on the 2018 season. A lot of talk already about, can you get to 10 wins in a season? And talking about with Kyle Busch or Martin Truex Jr. or Kevin Harvick. Can you get there? Yeah. And the possibility exists that Kevin Harvick could get there before the playoffs even start. He's that good. He has been that good here. 2 laps to go for Harvick.
Well, we heard from multiple pit reports throughout the weekend how Michigan was going to be the measuring stick. What did Marty say at the beginning of the race? He mentioned that Joe Gibbs Racing all bought brand new race cars, that they felt this was the last time in the regular season for you to evaluate your equipment. Well, if you're that organization and you're going back.
What did he say?
I thought he said he had a flat.
He did say. That's what I thought he said.
The 3.
That was
three
a
cars
3
got a flat
Austin
tire.
Dillon.
Oh, it's a different radio. You had me scared to
no.
death. I thought it was the 4, but I was getting ready to say, think about that. It's going to hurt Joe Gibbs to think that the 4 is beating him this easily.
1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank.
Austin's going to try to make this finish here.
Now he's in 3rd. Keselowski's moved up to 2nd.
Yep. Austin's going to try to finish it off. He's going to have to be real careful with flat tire at these kind of speeds. He's slowed way down, but he's still going 170 miles an hour. So going to have to nurse it home and see if he can make it.
Kevin Harvick hasn't had to do anything half speed today. He has been dominant. He's led 108 laps from Michigan. He'll win again in the Irish Hills.
Hell of a job, man. Hell of a job.
Austin Dillon makes it to the finish line in 4th.
Top 5. Ryan Blaney finishes 5th. Almirola, another top 10 finish for that organization. Hamlin started on the pole, finishing in 8th. Chase Elliott wins a week ago, finishes another top 10.
Got to go to the wind tunnel.
And you just heard Rodney Childers say that car's got to go to the wind tunnel. So don't damage the car. 7th win. 7th Monster Energy Cup Series win this year for Kevin Harvick. This is only the 2nd time in the last 20 seasons that a driver had 7 wins through 23 races. Kyle Busch had 8 through 3 in 2008. The steering wheel already off for Kevin Harvick. I mentioned, or we heard Rodney Childers say it's got to go to the wind tunnel. That's for NASCAR. NASCAR has said that do not damage this car. They're going to take this car to the wind tunnel.
Along with others. This is pretty standard. They take a couple from each manufacturer. So Kevin says, you know what? That's fine. I'm still going to climb up here and get the checkered flag.
That's right.
A win's a win, and I'm going to celebrate it.
He takes the window net down. The crowd already roaring here. Beautiful day for racing, and Kevin Harvick showed why he's definitely the top contender for the championship in 2018.
We are awaiting Marty Steiner with NBC Sports to step in with Kevin Harvick.
You just heard the public address announcer mention who's on their way to chat with Kevin Harvick when he climbs out of the car. This moment presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long.
What an incredible win for Kevin Harvick, 108 laps led. And he wanted to know if Keelan could come out here and say hi to the fans. Say hi to Keelan, everyone. You want him to get the checkered flag. Why?
Well, he's asked me for a couple days that he said, Daddy, if you win, I want to go across the track and get the checkered flag. So pretty cool to be able to watch him do that. Yeah, wave it. Wave it.
What a moment.
Yeah. You know, it's pretty awesome. Just want to say thank you to everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing for just a great Busch Light Ford, Mobil One, everybody from Ford and Outback and Hunt Brothers and everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing, Haas Automation, Mobil One, everybody who's involved in this thing.
It is Kids Drive NASCAR week, by the way. So how about these fans here in Michigan? What a turnout today, Kevin.
Yeah, just really want to thank everybody. Really appreciate everything that you guys do. Thanks for coming out today.
A statement win for Kevin Harvick and Stewart-Haas Racing. He dominates here in Michigan, Rick.
You know what? Keelan got his first race car this week, too. And I'm not so sure
I think he's going to get a ride in the race car, Rick. Check this out.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think Mom Delana knew that he was going to get the race car this week, but he did. And so first race car for Keelan, first checkered flag for Keelan, and now his first ride to victory lane in a race car for Keelan. He'll hold the checkered flag and hold on to the roll bar, too, by the way, Keelan.
It's a heck of an experience for this young kid, but for Kevin, too. To be able to have his son like this with him, man, that's incredible.
Moments that you just can't ever predict could happen.
And I saw a picture yesterday of Keelan in a quarter midget. Yeah, I know Mama's not happy about that, but
I said first race car.
Yeah.
And he'll take it nice and easy. Doesn't have to go far.
That's awesome.
The ride of his life. Keelan Harvick in the passenger seat. Dad just dominated at Michigan. When we come back, he's in victory lane.